Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of the Old Men Magic podcast, where your hosts Alex and Steve discuss current and not so current matters in the world of Magic the Gathering. How you doing, Alex?
Good. How's it going?
Pretty good. We're gonna pretend like we didn't restart the show. This is the
Several times.
initial recording, and I'm gonna ask you again: are you doing anything exciting for Labor Day weekend?
Oh no, I'm still just planning to sit. Nothing has
Oh,
changed.
still just sitting.
Sitting,
Same
sitting
here.
is on the schedule.
I'm still just being a vegetable. I'm still tending to my vegetables in the garden.
It's raining right now, and it's really nice. It's in the evening, and it's raining, and maybe I can go mushroom hunting tomorrow. That's the only thing that I think is on my list.
Oh, that'd be good. Have you done that yet this year? Are you still doing that regularly?
I'm still doing it, but I've done it almost none this year. So I should use this opportunity probably and see if I can find some cool mushrooms to eat tomorrow for dinner.
What is now a good time for? What is appearing now?
Oh boy, it's probably a lot of stuff because we're through the hot part of the summer, falls, the whole May to October period is pretty good, but especially the beginnings and ends of that. So all of decent fall mushrooms will be around like hen of the woods, chicken mushrooms. I've never found bluets, and that's one I'd like to try to find.
You never found what?
They're called bluets, and they're like a purplish blue mushroom.
They sound like a mushroom that if I saw, I would think it was poisonous, and I want to pick it.
Maybe, yeah, maybe there are some like indigo colored mushrooms that you should not eat that are poisonous, but they're tough because they blend in with the multicolored leaves on the forest floor in the fall, being like purplish.
What are I'm blanking right now, but there's a prize mushroom that everybody talks about. They have their spots where they find them. They don't tell anybody about. What's the mushroom everybody loves cooking with? That's expensive.
Morels?
Morels, yes.
Yeah.
Are those over with already for the
year? Yeah, they're springtime only.
Okay.
Yeah. But on to magic topics.
That was episode 1 of Old Men Mushroom podcast.
Oh yeah.
The Old Men Mushroom.
It'll be up soon. Let's start doing the mushroom podcast in conjunction.
Okay, let's get into the news. Magic the Gathering news.
Okay, yeah, I have one topic to talk about in the news. We're still talking about Lost Legends here because it's so exciting. We were talking before about the block of cards that is not included in the promotional giveaway of Legends cards in the new Dominaria set. And I skimmed through it, and there's only about 4 cards that I'd say are really significant because they're all uncommons. Those cards, in my opinion, are Underworld Dreams, Land Tax, Presence of the Master, Arborea, and Drain Mana.
Mana Drain.
Mana Drain. Nah, I knew I said that wrong. This was looking for the list, and I couldn't find it. Mana Drain, of course. And the thing I thought was interesting there is that Mana Drain and Arborea were both just reprinted. And they knew about this, they've been opening these cards and sorting them and planning this promotion for a while, certainly. It may very well have been early enough for them for that to affect their decision on this Mana Drain reprint and sudden Arborea reprint. So I wonder if that means we might see Land Tax Underworld Dreams coming up in another set. They've both seen reprints, so it's not super, urgent, but they're both in demand cards. So we'll see them soon. The second part of this, which I thought was interesting, is that they are not including any of the offensive magic cards, the racist and cultural issues magic cards, which doesn't make sense, of course, but they have added to that list as far as which cards they are not included.
I heard somebody talking about, I was listening to an old episode of another podcast, the pre-modcast, which if anybody is listening to this podcast, they're probably already aware of the other Magic the Gathering podcasts that exist. But
we can probably refer to all of those other podcasts in casual terms.
Yeah, if this is anybody, if this is anybody's first Magic the Gathering podcast to listen to, there's other Magic the Gathering podcasts that have been going on for longer. One of the ones I really enjoyed listening to recently is the pre-modcast. It's all about pre-modern.
which you've been very interested.
Yeah, for the most part, it's all about pre-modern. They talk about some other stuff too, because the guys have been playing for a long time. And in an old episode, they were discussing this issue, and one of the people mentioned that this was a list that they were going to add to in the future. I forgot about that. You know, they have their initial list of cards that they.
I mean, they said
Yeah.
They said they leave it open, so
Yeah.
I don't know if they had plans to add to it for sure, but in any case, one thing that means basically none of the Harold McNeil cards are going to be added, are going to be in it.
Oh
So
yeah.
anything that had artwork by him, which includes Sylvan Library, which is already an expensive card.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah, man. So that's never going to get a reprint.
well, with different
Not.
artwork.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was just going to say, just have a new person.
Yeah.
Fucking.
But this Legends version of it, and I'm sorry, the Legends version is already very expensive, so they won't be including that in this promotion or the $15 Common Darkness. And then they added a few other cards, or I should say, removed a few other cards. And I tried to look through them to see if I could figure out why.
Do you have a list of the names?
Yeah, Pyrotechnics is one.
Oh, really?
Yep. This card, the only reason I can see that I shouldn't say only, but from what I can tell, it's because the flavor quote has a Navajo war chant in it. It doesn't seem to be used, like in a nothing about it seems to be derogatory, but I guess it's probably like a cultural appropriation sort of, maybe they didn't, thought they shouldn't be using that, in this. So there's that.
Is this a brand new list of things that they released, or these cards like going to go up for no good reason just because?
Find any reference to these cards in like a new news released about the list being enlarged. As far as I can tell, these cards are still legal and they're still, but I guess they're just not gonna. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, this one's been. Sorry, this one's been reprinted a bunch too.
Yeah,
6th edition, 7th edition, 8th edition.
Yeah. If they reprint this again, it'll probably be without that quote in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They might reprint the card still, but it'll be probably without that. The other one is Craw Giant, and I tried to figure out why. Again, the flavor text has the word midgets in it.
Oh.
Because he's insulting the small people that he's about to crush.
Because he's a murderous giant. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's no Craw Giant in the set because of that. And probably if it's ever, no one cares if it's reprinted, but it'll be without, with a different text, I guess.
It was always one of my favorite arts from Legends, though. I really like the artwork for the Craw Giant.
Yeah, he was kind of a cool card, and just had that craw thing going on.
He was beastly.
Compared to the lame crawworm, he was a little more exciting.
He had very weird musculature.
Yeah, he looks sort of like he's almost part like.
He's got abs, he's got massive pecs, and he has some weird kind of shelf in between his upper abdominals and his pectorals.
Skeleton thing, carapace. Yeah. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, carapace
going on. What was one I just Flash Counter? I think that's another. That's another card by an artist they decide not to use anymore. And let's see. Barbary Apes.
Could you hear that, Alex?
No, what happened?
You can't hear that?
No.
Okay, never mind.
I'm on a little tablet thing, so it's I might not hear.
No, it was audio coming from my computer. I guess they probably can't hear it from my computer since I have my mic going. But
okay,
not important.
Another card, Barbary Apes. I looked at and I was like trying to figure out what's wrong with this card, and then I realized that it's I was like, this is just an apes card. The quote doesn't say anything, but then I realized they have the apes actually like carrying like humanoid like weapons and gear that look like they're people from Africa, and Barbary is a real place. So I was like, oh yeah, that's I can see why that's offensive.
I never thought about that, to be honest. They are just apes. They're just
That's the way
warlike
I
apes.
never thought of it either. But I guess when you
I
combine,
wonder if that's really why they got it, because this is certainly not the only warlike ape card that
that's true.
exists in
Yeah,
Magic the
they're
Gathering. There's
like
a
intelligent apes that are using weapons. I
yeah,
sort of feel like it was probably like a, I can't get into the head of the person who drew this or the people who designed it, but I sort of feel
yeah,
like it was probably an unconscious kind of like uh apes are from Africa. Let's give them African looking, stuff. I don't
yeah,
know.
maybe.
I can see why they wouldn't want to use that anymore though. um, then I saved the biggest one for last. I think those were
Oh
the
boy.
only strange ones or unusual ones. Like I said, all Harold McNeil art and Gwendolyn DeCourcy,
Oh,
which is
son of a
one of the
bitch.
most expensive cards in the set and best.
Oh, I knew this already.
Is it just too sexy?
I think. Yes. It's too sexy.
Too sexy. It's not even that sexy, but it's. I guess
I
it's a little bit sexy.
because I want a Gwendolyn. And actually, now that
Yeah,
you
me
bring this
too.
up,
I was looking at this card again today because of this, and I was remembering how good it is. Like, good
I
grief.
remember I was watching a Rudy video like maybe a month and a half ago. And he mentioned in that video that Gwendolyn was one of the cards that was not going to be uh, present. It wasn't one of the Lost Legends that you may potentially open in a pack.
Mhm.
And it wasn't, of course, and it also wasn't going to be reprinted, of course, because it's already reserve list. But he
Okay.
mentioned it was being left out of the Lost Legends. Like if they pulled a Gwendolyn, they weren't packing it. And I was like, oh man, are people gonna bid this up even more than it already is? I want it to fall a little bit.
Yeah.
I know I'm never gonna get a Gwendolyn for $50. It's never gonna be cheap. But I'd hope, that it gets a little bit less expensive instead of just going up like over four. I don't want it to go up over $400. It's
Yeah. I
way
mean,
too
I think
much.
this thing maybe it'll affect it in the short term, but it won't make an impact long
Oh,
term.
and I was also irritated that Rudy mentioned it because I was like, oh man, is it going to go up a little bit more just because he mentioned
Just
it in
because
the
you
video
mentioned
now?
it.
Is there going to be renewed interest in spiking this card and buying out this card? Since then, it hasn't gone up anymore. It has actually gone down a little bit. So what's the market price for it right now is $374.
Which is still insane, but
Yeah, but it's been over
yeah,
$400 for like a year now, so it's coming down. But yeah, I do literally think that they are not reprinting it because it's just too sexy. She's a honeypot assassin.
but
And the
that's
image, the image itself is not even sexy, really. You're right.
yeah.
She's not
Well, it's not revealing.
exactly.
There's something about it. There's some element to it. I think because she has her like legs wrapped around him. I think
It is
that's kind of
sexual. She's about
yeah.
to F him and then kill him.
Because there's more scantily clad women on plenty of other cards,
Absolutely.
and men, and I think there's even other cards, that are you could argue are making reference to sleeping with someone or luring them somewhere, or, something like that. So I don't think there's anything crazy about it. I'm kind of confused. What
Yeah,
if someone who works there like wants Gwendolyn's and he's like, I'm gonna get 8 of them when they throw them in the trash?
they could be doing. Who knows? Never know what people are doing. But I do want a Gwendolyn. It is a cool card. And when I was looking at all the legends again a few months ago, this is one that I was like, man, I didn't appreciate this one fully when I was younger. It's a
Yeah,
much better card than I realized.
it was probably more like a little too expensive to be
It,
paying attention to.
yeah, it might have been.
And I don't know what I was going to say.
Was never reprinted in Chronicles, so I wasn't looking at it all the time. Just forgot about it.
Yeah, I feel like I just couldn't afford this card, or just like never really saw it for maybe like card shops had it, but it was like overpriced compared to what like Scry said it was supposed to be, or something.
I couldn't even tell you what like Gwendolyn was priced at back in 96 or
I couldn't
95.
either.
Yeah, I have no clue.
I would guess 20 or $20 or
Yeah, maybe.
like that.
I feel a
Maybe
lot.
30.
Most of the legendary creatures were at least that expensive, right? Except for the
It would have been 20 to $40 or something.
yeah.
Um,
Again, I need to find old editions of
what I like about
Scry and the Duelist so I can
yeah,
remind myself of
and
its
some
price.
people there's apparently not many of them surviving because some people post. I just read an article today about Black Lotus value over time and its history, and I've seen this also with other things. It seems like there's just like missing issues of Scry and stuff. People like don't have them when they go to look for them. It's like scarce information. I like Gwendolyn's power toughness combo for her casting cost. It's multicolored mana, but it's only 4 casting cost, and she's 3/5.
Yeah, she's not going to get bolted, and you can use her to assassinate.
She's like already better than a lot of the other legends.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Low casting cost with like a lot of them had a higher toughness, but they had higher casting costs too.
Yeah, it's mixed mana. You're going to be playing duels in this format, so it's not going to be that much of an issue, and it's 3/5 for 4. And she's a disrupting scepter. That's what she is.
It's all available.
I'm just thinking about the art, and I'm thinking she has a royal assassin like ability, but no. Target player discards 1 card from his or her hand at random.
Yeah, you'd think it would be like an assassin ability, right? Yeah.
Very good card.
Yeah, cool card. She's a big foot. Don't you think her foot's really big?
Maybe that's why they're not, that they don't want to release this card. It's
like a big foot.
It's too enticing for the foot fetishists.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She's shown too much foot.
Too much foot.
Since you brought up the Lost Legends, I wasn't even thinking about this, but I did remember. And this ties in. This is the same topic, really. When I was looking at Twitter a couple of days ago, some people actually pulling these old legendary cards out of their Dominaria United pack started popping up in our feed. And I actually retweeted them. One person pulled Nicole Bolas.
Oh, sweet.
And they posted it because they were like, opened a Nicole Bolas from a collector booster, and it's either got ink or mold. And they said fun times, and they tagged.
Oh no.
And then they tagged at Wizard. Let me share my screen.
Oh no.
And I was looking at it close, and it might be ink. It's hard for me to tell, but I think it might be ink. And one of the comments was like,
that's ink.
Yeah, I think it's ink.
That's printing ink.
It's over here too. One of the people who responded to the tweet was like, welcome to 90s era print runs. Yeah, everybody here seems to think it's mold. They're like, mold. Why was that not sorted out? But I do think it's ink.
That looks like ink.
The more I looked at it.
It seems like it's almost in like a blocky pattern a little, and it doesn't look raised off the surface.
Yeah, and kind of smeared. It looks smeared.
If it was mold, I think it would be like, I mean, I don't know. I guess it could be.
It could be. It's hard to tell just from staring at the photograph of it, but
from an internet picture,
it kind of looks like ink to me. It looks like it got inked and then smeared.
Like if it had that much mold on it, it would smell.
That's also
so
true.
You'd be able to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be annoying, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world because of where it came from. I'd be like, I got this from a Pac-Man, so like not from a Pac-Man, but from
exactly. And if you wanted to sell it, you could advertise it as like a print run error.
It might even be, worth money to somewhere.
Although this isn't typically the kind of print run errors people look for.
No, it's not
smeared ink.
Whatever. It's a fun artifact from history, like they said, like welcome to print runs from the 90s. Like
exactly. Welcome, kids. Story. This is the garbage we used to pull.
I wouldn't hate it. I'd play this and people be like, well, be a conversation piece.
Oh, definitely. I mean, if I was just playing Magic now and I pulled an old legend out of a pack of Dominaria United, I'd keep this forever. Pretty cool. And then, of course, this one, my baby. Oh, yeah. Somebody pulled my baby, a copy of the Moat. Somebody opened this LOL. I think this person who tweeted it might own a shop.
Lul.
Think they might own a shop, or else they sell at least. I'm very jealous. Somebody actually pulled a Moat, but then he made a huge mistake. After this, they posted that someone pulled this. The next post was he owned it for about 45 seconds. He sold it. He sold it immediately to, I think it looks to me like they're in a shop. He sold it immediately to who might be the shop owner, or as at least somebody who flips cards. And I think somebody asked him like how much they paid, and they didn't say, except they did say, I might have overpaid for it, which they probably did not overpay for it. And then somebody also mentioned, oh, like how much do you think it's worth? And they were like, oh, I don't know. I got to look into it. So this person made a mistake. I mean, what you should do when you pull this out of a pack fresh, is immediately have it graded, and then you just wait. But instead of getting $1,000 for it just off the bat, you get
Yeah,
you get
probably. Yeah.
double that.
It's an expensive enough card that you should be,
Yeah,
unless you can tell obviously that it's like, it's off center, it like doesn't have good centering to your naked eye
it
or flawed
looks
to your naked
really
eye.
good. It
But that
looks
does look
really good.
a pretty nice one.
Yeah,
I'm not good at telling like centering or
I
anything
don't
like
know
that.
if that
It's
is a
not, it's not
flaw down
perfect.
there, but
I
I
don't
mean the
know.
centering looks really nice. But the Legend is known for having bad centering, and I'm trying to remember. Can it ever be that they look perfect from the front, but they look off centered from the back? They do, yeah. Because I'm looking at one of my Legends right now. You probably can't tell, but like the back, you probably can't tell.
Maybe. And
I,
the front's better.
yeah, I feel like this was the case for most of my Legends. The front, they look centered. It's when you flip it over, you get the one side much larger than the other. But anyways, pack fresh moat. So people are pulling these out of the packs, and they're posting them out of the packs. Pretty sweet. And I guess, I said he shouldn't have sold it, but he did make $1,000 just like right off the bat, and he didn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
But
Well, good
still,
for those people.
I mean, I would have
Maybe he
graded it.
doesn't even care about Moat, you know what I mean? Maybe he only plays new stuff and
I
he
mean, if I didn't care about it, I would have graded it. But also, see, this
yeah.
is what I think they took advantage of him, because somebody opened this, he owned it for about 45 seconds, and then they mentioned, "Oh, I want to add he's just been playing Magic for 3 weeks.
Oh geez.
He's brand new to the game. He didn't know what he was doing." So I'm sure again, he's still happy he immediately made $1,000 or whatever. But the person who bought it from him is going to make a lot more. And all they're going to do is send it out to have it graded and then resell it after it's graded, probably.
Uh,
And look, they paid him Monopoly money. These aren't real American dollars. What are these weird colors? They say Canada on them. What are you going to do with that?
Gonna go up to Canada and spend that. So are you gonna buy some Dominaria and crack them, Steve?
I'm definitely not.
Definitely.
I can't. I don't even necessarily have anything against new Magic. It's just that getting back into Magic, trying to establish a collection. I can't be buying all this old stuff and buying new Magic at
Yeah,
the
no,
same
yeah,
time.
it's
It's
too
just
much. It's too much.
we've missed. What did I say last week? I found out there have been like over 90 expansions released since the
Yeah.
beginning of Magic. And I was like, how many existed when we stopped playing? A dozen.
Yeah,
So like we
there's so much that we're not good at figuring out which cards are good or bad anymore.
yeah, there's so much out there. I
We
got
only
to
judge cards relevant to the old sets we know, so we're learning a lot still.
getting
Uh,
back in the game.
if
I
I
have
had
to limit
extra
my
money,
world.
if I had like extra hundreds of bucks to throw around, I would buy a box of collector's boosters of this and just keep it sealed. I know people do that and speculate, and it's not always the best idea, but I feel like this, you know, it's either going to go up sealed. Eventually, this whole thing will be over, and people will still want to try to crack a moat or, you know, a Chains of Mephistopheles.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't be a bad thing to hold, because
And then
like
if
you
it
said,
doesn't, you could always crack it yourself if you're, if it for some reason never appreciates in value, which I think it will. To know that these are like the only legends left out, or maybe not the only ones, but I don't know. And then if it didn't appreciate, you could always just crack it yourself for fun one day.
yeah, because people will remember this as the set that has some legends in it. And almost nobody is going to be able to afford like a booster box of legends. So if you ever want to even pull a legend out of a pack, it's gonna have to be like this for the most part.
I looked at it at one point and I can't remember specifics, but like the EV of the first Zendikar set with the hidden treasures or whatever they were called. I mean, it obviously I think affects that set. I can't remember specifically. Maybe I'm wrong, but like I think you can tell that that set is more expensive because of that than just because of the values of the normal cards in it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing with that, I was wondering about that compared to this. With that, I think they only included those old cards in like the first wave. Um, and I don't know if this Dominaria set is going to have more than one wave, quote unquote, if there are such
I don't
things
either.
as waves. So, will eventually they be printing more or sending out more Dominaria that doesn't have these legends in it?
I don't know. I would hope they would at least notify people of that fact. They were like,
Yeah.
okay, there's been a lot of demand for this product. We're starting up a new print run. This print run will not contain
Yeah.
the legends, but who
I would
knows?
think they would do that. But
I would think so too. But in addition to the legends, it's I'm not following this set very closely, but just browsing Twitter, watching some other YouTube videos, it sounds like it sounds like a good set. It sounds like a set that people are enjoying.
people see, I haven't looked at ton, but people seem to be,
Yeah.
fairly they think it's pretty reasonable as far as power goes and stuff. It looks like it's a fun set, fairly strong, not broken, not crazy, not too weak. So we'll see. It looks like maybe it'll do okay.
What else was I gonna say? I think that was about it
Yeah, that's all I had
for
to
the
say.
legends. This post, these Dominaria collector packs are straight up fire.
That's insane.
Somebody posts their All Hallows Eve, Chains of Mephistopheles, 2 Tabernacles, Nether Void, 2 Abysses.
That's crazy.
The response, did you pull all of these? Of course not. What are you talking about, guy? It's a joke. Oh yeah, half of these aren't even available in collection. Yeah, Nether Void wouldn't even be available because the Nazi painted these.
Yeah, then Nazi.
I don't know if the Abyss is in there. Tabernacle's in there.
Yeah, all the rest are not Nether.
Anywho. Okay, that was good news, Alex. Lost Legends.
Anything else you want to talk about?
List of Lost Legends not included. I think I'm done with the Legends for now. My news segment, if you don't have anything else to add, is I was going to talk about my trip to 2 local gaming stores. These are my first LGS trips in probably decades.
Yeah.
I probably haven't gone since I was in my early 20s, so it's probably been almost 20 years since I went to an LGS. I was having a bad day at work. Nothing in particular happened that day. It was just more of the same. Same stuff that's been getting me frustrated lately. And I was like, on my way home, I want to do something fun. So I'm like, I'm going to try stopping by an LGS because I've also been thinking about the fact that I don't have any basic lands. And I'm buying these cards to build decks, but I don't want to buy basic lands because I'm like, I have to just be able to get them somewhere cheap. I feel like I should be able to go into an LGS and just either buy basic lands for dirt cheap or at least buy them for what they're priced at on the internet and not have to pay shipping, or maybe even potentially, if I mention that I want basic lands, if I buy some other stuff, maybe they'll just sprinkle in some basic lands for me. Who knows? I have received basic lands and cards that I've ordered online. They've just sent some basic lands along with the pack, but they've all been like lands from 2022. None of the lands that I want, which are lands from Revised or Mirage or Tempest. Those are the lanes I'm looking for. So I just got into Google Maps. I typed in like Magic the Gathering. Started going to the places that were in between my house and my work. First place I stopped. It was a pretty cool store. They had tons and tons of board games. It seemed like it was mostly a board gaming place.
Mm-hmm.
They had Magic the Gathering packs up front. Walked around. Didn't see any singles though. I asked them. They said they didn't even sell singles. So I was like, oh man, that's a bummer. So the first LGS I went to for Magic the Gathering didn't actually sell singles. And I was trying to get lands. And I don't want to buy Dominaria United packs. That's pretty much all I had. So went to another shop. And this shop was better, at least for what I wanted. You walk in, they had like a case on your left that had some of the more expensive things, which was mostly just dual lands. They had a bunch of revised, not a bunch, maybe like 10 to 15 revised dual lands.
That's a lot from compared to the stores I've been in.
And then they had like a bunch of creatures from I don't know what set. They were displayed like real fancy in these boxes, and they were like sitting up, so the cards were like facing towards you.
Yeah.
And it looked like they were trying to sell it as a set. I don't even know what it was. So who knows? And then a little further in, they had their case with their general singles. And they didn't have any prices on anything. So this was new to me. And when I was reading about some other shops online, I heard similar things from other people saying they had the same experience when they went into shops, that the singles aren't priced.
Yeah.
And what they do is you point at a card and you're like, I'm interested in that. And they look it up online,
look it
and
up, yeah.
whatever that immediate price is, like that's what the price is.
Yeah.
And the kid who was selling kind of pitched it as like, oh, they were doing me a favor in some way by doing that. They're
No.
like, we don't want to, they're like, the prices are very volatile for these things. We don't want to price it. And if the price drops, then we overcharge you for something. And I'm like, that's not why you're doing it, buddy.
Yeah.
You're doing it because you want to get top dollar for everything at every moment.
Yes.
So that was a bummer, to be honest, because, you know, one of the best things about going into stores, if you collect anything used, is trying to find something that's underpriced.
Yeah, it's a treasure hunt.
Exactly. There's no treasure hunting when what the person does is have you point at something and then they immediately look it up online.
Yeah.
And decide what you can get it for online, and then don't give you like any sort of deal at all.
Yeah.
So that was surprising to me. That's not how things worked back in the day.
And I've had this experience now too. I know I told you before, I went in one shop where they had binders, but they basically didn't let you look at them. And I was in another store recently. They were really friendly, but they basically excuse me, sir. They basically had like a digital kiosk you could use to look up cards that were in their inventory. And I assumed that it was connected to an online marketplace average, and it was priced that way. Same thing. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I know they have some issues with, there's security issues with letting people look through cards, but you can keep the expensive ones in, a case or a special, binder. I'm with you. I'm old school, and I think it's, I like being able to look through cards and be like, that card looks like it's in slightly better condition for the price, or that card is, it's gone up or down recently, and and I know they want to get top dollar, and it's hard being a game store. I like to spend some money at my local game store when I can and support them. But I think it's I don't know. Sorry. I can't clear my throat. I'm dying. Drink some water.
Have a beverage.
Jeez Louise.
But yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the binders, because another thing. So the first thing that surprised me was the no prices. We price on the spot based on how they're priced online. 2 was the case up front was kind of small, and it was almost all modern new border stuff.
Right.
And I said, oh, do you have, I'm looking mostly for cards in the pre-modern format. He didn't know what that was. I explained it to him. I was like, it's all old frame stuff. So, sets from Scourge, 4th edition to Scourge, essentially. And I said, I'm also interested in, like Arabian Nights, Legends, none of the chase cards from those sets, but like, the reasonably priced Legends and stuff. I was like, do you have any of these old sets anywhere? Where can I see those cards? And he's like, yeah, they're all behind me, pointed behind him to like this big closet area in binders. And I was like, oh, can I look through the binders? And he goes, the owner doesn't let anybody look through the binders.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's what happened to me in the first store.
Oh man, I'm like, I would just want to browse your offerings. I want to see what there is.
Well, and I don't think they understand that people maybe buy things, not maybe, people definitely buy things that they didn't know they wanted.
All the time. That's what I was going to say. It's like,
if I'm flipping through a binder, I might not have a big list of exactly which cards I want to buy that day, but if I'm flipping through a binder and I see something that's on my mental list and it's in nice shape,
exactly.
then I'm like, I'll buy this today. It just depends on what's in nice shape and what's available, on the day I go in.
Exactly. I wanted to go in. I wanted to spend some money. I wanted to buy things, but I wasn't going in with anything specific to purchase other than basic glance.
Yeah. And that's what happened to me too. I didn't have a good list. And then the second store where they were a little like, I would say they were a little more friendly about it. They were he said they were in the process of adding all their cards to their electronic list. And he said their old border cards weren't even done yet. So he's like, basically didn't have any old border cards for sale because they were like not cataloged yet.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I asked if they had like, I was like, what if I wanted to, I was kind of talking to him about this, and I was like, I was cool about it. I was like, I know that this is kind of how stores sometimes do stuff now. Um, I was like, would you have something like, what if I wanted like unlimited commons, try to
Yeah.
get, is there something like that to look through? And he's like, and he was kind of like, we don't even really like have that. He's like, we don't have much old white border stuff like that. And I was like, wow, weird. Like, but two of the shops around here, or more than two, some of them are pretty small, but there's two shops near me that I like to go to, that have old school cards and cases with prices on them, and a binder, and a $1 box to look through. And
that's what I wanted. Yeah, I want a binder to flip through. I want a bulk rares box because
I bought some $1 rares this week from him.
Yeah, all these sets, I'm not even familiar with what's in them. I don't even know what exists. I just want to browse. And I want to see something that's going to catch my eye and be like, oh, I want that now. Now that I see it, I need
exactly, because some of these cards I don't even know about. And
exactly.
I just bought a bunch of cards off TCG Player that way. They were all cheap, but I just gobbled a bunch up. I bought too many cards this week, Steve.
Oh no.
Too many cards.
Oh no. So those were the odd things. No prices, priced priced on the spot based on internet prices. The binders that you can't look through. I laughed when that happened because I was like, this is exactly what Alex was telling me about. I will say that the guy behind the counter was super nice. Like it was a nice shop. Like the kid who was running the cash register, we chatted for a little bit about some different things. He was very friendly. He made me feel rich. So what eventually happened was, I was like, oh, okay. You don't have like any old frame cards in the case, and I can't look through any of the binders. So let me just like come up with a list of things that the cards I've seen recently on the internet that I know that I want. Because the first deck I want to put together is going to be like a mostly green stompy deck, because they seem to be, I mean, they're in generally cheaper to assemble.
Urnham Jin sort of deck.
And they're easy to run. Yes, Urnham Jim, but with no Urnham Jims, with more modern things.
Different creature. Yeah.
So I step aside for a few minutes. I type a list into my cell phone. What did you say?
Collect your thoughts.
Yeah, collect your thoughts.
Your cards that you wanted.
I had to make my list, and then I step back to the register, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. And I would start naming things, and he'd be like, oh, yeah, if we had that, it would probably be in the case, because that's a more expensive car. And I'm like, what is it? I was naming things that were probably only like $10. So that's when I gathered that, like, if it was like $10, it was probably in the case. Although this didn't turn out to totally be true, because they were more expensive cards over the $10 range, but just in older sets that I guess they don't bother putting in the case. I said, I'm interested in a winter orb. I know I want a winter orb. Do you have any winter orbs? But I would like a revised edition. He was like, oh, revised edition. I don't know, just to warn you. He kept doing this. He's like, just to warn you, that's going to be kind of expensive. And I was like, that's fine. Because I know in my head that a revised winter orb would only be like $10 right now. 10 to 15 bucks, like maybe 15.
Yeah.
I was like, I can handle it.
Something like
that. But I was cracking up because he kept going like, oh, that's going to be expensive. And I was sitting there, I was looking at him, and I was thinking back to like when I was 20 something, like working at a bookstore and didn't have any money. But still, even though I didn't have any money, like sometimes people would come in to these bookstore I worked at, and they'd buy like a $400 signed first edition. I'd be like, wow, that's a lot of money.
Well,
but the cards I was asking about were just like $8 to $15 for them.
Yeah. I was like selling wine, and someone wanted like a $30 ball. I wouldn't be like, oh, buddy.
Yeah, like even when I was in my early 20s, like half price books, our standard price points for books are like $5.99 and $8.99 or $9.99 or something. Somebody bought it like a $10 book. Or if somebody came in and was like, I would like a hardback copy of the Grapes of Wrath, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's gonna be like a $12 book, just so you know. It's gonna be like $12. So he made me feel wealthy.
Yeah.
But
But
again, he was super nice. I mentioned the Pain Lands, and he was giving me advice. He's like, "Oh, just so you know, I might hold off on purchasing the Pain Lands." He started explaining to me that they were just reprint. Some of them were just reprinted in Dominaria United, and some of them, the rest were going to be reprinted in like the Brothers War. So the prices
yeah,
might be dropping
about
on those. And I wanted to say in my head, I was thinking, you don't know that I'm a major Magic the Gathering influencer, and I have a Magic the Gathering podcast. I'm already familiar with it. You don't know that. But I
no,
didn't say anything. I was like, oh
anyways,
yeah,
here, we're
thanks
talking
for
about
the.
waiting months. We're talking about waiting months for a $14 card to drop to $12 maybe,
I know that's the
It's
other
not like they're
thing.
gonna crater, and I want them now. Like, it's
But
15 bucks. That's how much Painlands are. It sucks.
that's what I was thinking. But I just moved on. I was like, okay, so I won't be getting a Pain Land here. I guess I'll get it off the internet instead. But yeah, the Pain Lands have already been reprinted already. Yeah, if it drops, it's just going to drop a couple dollars, and like you said, I'll have to wait like 3 months to get my Llanowar Waste for like nine
Unless it'll
dollars
be
instead of 12.
new border.
Yeah, I don't want new border either.
Yeah, I mean, like I started to say, I want to support a local game store, and I know they want to make as much money as they can. But if they had priced these cards, when they bought them, they would have priced them to still make a profit. And if the card
Yeah,
goes up more and they don't catch it in time, which is their job to do, kind of, is to catch these in time. A lot of comic book store guys are just like standing around sometimes. uh,
how dare you, Alex?
I'm just saying,
How dare you?
it's a fun job. Some people are just sitting there enjoying their time.
When I was in there, I was also
Staying
thinking,
on top of those magic card prices.
how much money do I have to make so I could just kind of retire, like semi-retire,
Hanging out in here.
or a used bookstore. Like just go
Yeah.
back to just being like a cashier in a shop that sells stuff
Yeah.
that I like.
Sell a little bit of stuff here and there just to supplement your
Yeah,
income. But have some low rent scenario,
yeah.
hopefully. And but yeah, like I know they want to maximize their profit, but like I don't know. You'd still be making money on the cards that slip through the cracks that people buy from you for too cheap because you didn't notice they went up last week.
I
You'd still
know it's kind of a bummer. It's a bummer. I like you said, I don't want to rip off LGSs, but I do want to at least feel like sometimes I could get a deal. It's
Yes,
just
exactly. And
sometimes.
not I'm always paying market price because then why am I even going to the store? I could just
Why am
order
I
that
why am I
out.
wasting the gas money?
Like,
Exactly. It's like,
and
come on.
they have events at these stores, most of them, and stuff, and they want to encourage, I would hope, an atmosphere there. They want people in there physically to spend money and to play and to sit down and stay there. So you would think they would want them there browsing cards because that adds to all of that. It's a reason to come in. It's a reason to, I don't know. Like I said, I know there's security issues and stuff, but you can protect your expensive cards. I don't know.
Yep.
That's how I feel because I'm old.
Yep.
Whatever.
But anyways, after these conversations with a nice kid behind the register, I got my list together and I eventually did buy some things. I just started naming cards
Uh-huh. Cool.
and
Just
he
found
would
some stuff.
go, okay, let me consult the binders. And he'd go back
Salt
to
the
the
binders.
binders.
Killed a chicken.
And then he'd be like, we got some back here. They look like they're in pretty good condition. Are you still interested?
We got some.
I'd be like, yeah, bring them out, buddy. And I'm gonna show you the cards I ended up
All
purchasing.
right.
I purchased two.
I'm seeing mostly your desktop. You should make it bigger.
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm gonna do this. Stop share. I purchased two near mint to light play Thorn Elementals.
Okay.
They are 5 colorless, 2 green, creature elemental, 7/7s. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thorn Elementals may deal its combat damage to defending player as though it weren't blocked.
Oh, so even if it's like a trample effect.
Yeah.
I see. I see.
So this is it's a hugely high casting cost. It's probably not a competitive card, but it's
kind
fun
of
for
fun.
Green Stompy. I'm building this Green Stompy and I was like, I want to have like 1 or 2 like giant creatures in there. Just put 1 copy in for a late game pull if I need a big body to deal few points of damage at the end. So maybe the Thorn Elemental will make it into my green Stompy deck.
Cool.
I bought 4 copies of Might of Oaks. I don't actually need 4 copies of this.
Yes, I know this card.
The Giant Squirrel, 2 colorless, 1 green instant. Target creature gets +7/+7 until end of turn. Got these in a deck. Got these in a deck with my Elvish Herders, which you can tap 1 forest to tap 1 forest to give trample to creatures. So I could pump and then trample over.
It would be good with the tree village you meant, treetop village.
Treetop village. I'm gonna put probably 2 treetop villages in this deck too.
I was looking for one of those to buy this weekend, and none of them struck my fancy for I was trying to find one from someone I was ordering other stuff from, and I couldn't.
What do you mean, just a mainland in general, or that one of those in particular?
Well, treetop village in particular, since you mentioned it, I was like, yeah, I could use 1 or 2 of those. But I just didn't. No one that I was ordering from already had them, and I wasn't gonna start a new order just for that.
Yeah. And then this card, which I just found out about recently, which I think is pretty cool. Normally, I'm not into enchant creatures, but there are a couple enchant creatures in different pre-modern sets. I'll tell you why I'm not normally into them. Because you enchant your creature, and then somebody kills your creature, and they have 2 for 1 damage.
Yeah.
There's 1 enchant creature. I'll talk about probably in a later episode, so I won't get into it now. But if you lose the creature that it was on, it comes back to your hand. So I love that. That's great. And then there's this guy that I found out about recently, Elephant Guide. 2 colorless, 1 green enchant creature from Judgment. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3. When enchanted creature is put into a graveyard, put a 3/3 green elephant token into play.
Yeah, I like that.
You take your 1/1 elf that you put out on turn 1. Turn 4, he's not doing all that much for you any longer. You turn him into a 4/4. So you got a big body to swing later in the game. And then if somebody takes him out, you get a 3/3. So
I like anything with elephants. I want to encourage the elephant tribe. One day I hope I'll have an elephant graveyard, but it's too rich for my blood.
One day.
But I like that card because it brings in an elephant. When you started talking before you even mentioned the card, I immediately thought of Rancor. Do you know that card?
That's the first one I mentioned that I said I wasn't going to talk about. Well, let's talk about it then. Yeah, that's going in my Stompy
deck. One of the cards I ordered this week because it's just so good.
I just got some last week. Yeah,
it's only 1 green casting cost enchantment. It gets +2/+0 and trample. And when it's put into play or put into the graveyard from play, you return it to your hand.
It comes back. It's really good.
So much for 1 green there.
It's really good.
I like it
just
a lot.
Play it as soon as it's in your hand. Why not make your creature bigger? Why not?
To make this a staple of my Enchantress deck or decks that I will be making.
Oh yeah. It's going to be my green Stompy. We can go head to head, green Stompy versus Enchantress.
Ooh, sweet. Trampling the heck out of everything.
And then while I was there, I was like, okay, buddy, let's open that Legends binder in the back. What do you got in that Legends binder? I was like, I wanted to say to him, I was going to say, I'm not going to buy it today. But for months, I've been thinking about an Angus or a Gwendolyn. Do you have one? And is it in good condition? So maybe if 1 month I decide I want to buy one, I could get it here instead of getting on the internet. But I didn't bring it up. I was just like, let me talk about something reasonable that I could buy right now. There are some cheap cards from Legends that I still want to get some, either my first copy of or additional copies of, like Stormseeker, Spirit Link, Bloodlust, Whirling Dervish, stuff that is affordable, has been reprinted. Since I was going green, everything I was buying was green. I was like, I want to see if he has a Stormseeker. And then he did.
Oh, sweet.
He had a Stormseeker. So I got myself. Nice. It's nice. I'd call it light play 2 near mint. It has a little bit of edge whitening. But it was pretty much I think it's near mint.
Sweet.
Some people might differ. I got myself a Legends Stormseeker for $20. He didn't give me a deal. I could have got the near mint cheapest near mint Stormspeaker that same day on TCG Player was about $15. So he didn't give me a deal.
So what were they using? They're literally using like a market number, like a market average number or something. Like,
I'm guessing. I don't know what they go for. I don't. He just literally
huh,
types the name into a computer
that's
and then
interesting.
comes up with a price. I don't know what site he's going to. I don't know if they go to
Uh-uh.
MTG stocks. I don't know if they look at TCG Player Market.
Another frustrating part about this is that like because of the nature of card stores, I would say you can typically haggle some, but it's going to depend on if you're dealing with like the teenager working there part time or if it's the owner, maybe. You know what I mean?
I don't think so. This is the teenager, well, maybe a
Yeah.
20 something working
He
there part
wasn't going
time.
to let you haggle. Yeah, I get that.
No, yeah, that's what I was gonna say because he was like the owner of this, the owner of that. I don't think he would
Yeah,
let
yeah.
me. He'd probably get fired if he started doing.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Um, but yeah, some stores I'm sure you could still probably haggle. It's just, even so if they're using that system, it might not work out too bad because
Mm-hmm.
this is what it's going for. You'd be like, oh, how about this? But yeah, if it's not like the owner or someone like manager with credentials or something, they're not going to let you do that.
The other thing this kid was kept doing, which was making me laugh every time it happened, was I would mention a card, and then he'd tell me that oh, it's been reprinted, so that you could get a reprint. The reprint will probably be cheaper. And
Yeah.
I'd go like, oh no, I want the original, and he'd go, I respect that. We had a conversation. It happened like 4 or 5 times. You just kept going like, I respect that.
I respect that. I bought a Jimmy John's sub at a drive-through a few weeks ago, and the guy handed me his sub, looked down at my stick shift, and he was like, I respect the manual. I was saying I didn't know what he was saying. I was like, huh? I was like, oh,
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah, I would have been
He
confused
said it
too.
again too. He was like, respect that. Respect that.
Was he an older guy or a young guy?
No, he was young. He was a kid.
Okay. Oh, and that one more thing before I wrap up my LGS segment. The reason that I went in there to begin with,
Basic lands.
basic lands, I left with no basic lands. So the
It
first shop I
sucks.
went to, they didn't sell any singles. This shop, the first thing I said when I came in was that I'm starting to play again and I don't have any lands to actually
Oh
assemble a
my
deck. I
God.
want some basic lands. He goes, all we offer in terms of lands are like these packs of lands that they put together, and you can buy a pre-assembled pack of lands, but they're all lands from the newest sets.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, do you guys have any lands from like Mirage, Tempest, or Unlimited or Revised around? And he's like, no, they would take up too much space. According to him, they don't have lands
They take
there.
up too much space, so charge more for them.
I don't
Like,
know.
I
I don't know
mean,
how
I
many
bet
people
you would have
ask
paid
for them.
25 cents for a nice Mirage land.
That's weird. So that's what I did on the internet. I
Yeah.
ordered. I came home
Order from
later in the week, and I ordered Mirage Basics from a couple vendors on TCG Player that have always given me things that were properly graded.
Uh-huh.
There's a couple shops. One of them is in Ohio, Frogtown, something or other.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Frogtown Hobbies,
I was
Cincinnati.
going to say Hobbies, but I couldn't remember if it was Hobbies because the other place was RC Hobbies. They seem to show up a lot on TCG Player when I'm searching for cheap cards, common cards, cards for pauper format. Don't seem to show up a lot when I'm looking for like pricier things, but
Mhm.
cheap cards. They always seem to
Yeah, some
have,
people seem to specialize in that. They have a lot of,
yeah, they always seem to have the best prices and at least four available at any time. And I've been ordering from those two places, and everything that's always arrived from either of those two vendors has always been actually near mint and not moderately played, which some people tend to do with their commons. I don't know if
God.
they're just like people. And so they think like if I just ordered it for like a less than $1, I won't bother to send it back. So they're just gonna send me whatever. And they're right. I don't bother to send it back. But what I do is I write down your name. And I never order things from you again.
Yeah.
But now Frogtown Hobbies and RC Hobbies, I mean, they just make money off of me because I know they give me good looking cards when I order commons from them.
Yeah, for sure.
So I do have
So
some
you
lands
build,
coming.
reliable customers,
Yeah. So
repeat
if you want,
customers.
I'll be able to play soon if you want to play on Zoom or
Nice.
on Spell Table. I'll have my
With
green
lands.
Stompy. I'll
All
have my
right. I have to
lands.
build a deck. My cards are all disorganized and stacks and shit.
But you could build a deck, right? You have stuff to
Yeah,
build a deck.
yes.
I'm very close to being able to actually build a deck.
So what I was trying to do a little more this week with my purchases was buy some a little more low cost playable stuff that I thought would be fun just to fill in building.
And we could play
I don't know
Pauper
what
if you want.
format I'm playing.
We could play here's what I figured we could do. We could play Pauper if you want, or we could play like my pre-modern decks versus your revised era decks or whatever. Because I'm assuming what you're going to be assembling. Well, or just I'm assuming what you would assemble would pretty much be pre-modern legal too. Whatever it is that you would assemble.
Yeah, both. Yeah, like there's definitely some decks I want to build that have stuff like cheap cards from old sets that wouldn't be pre-modern cards. Like Legends and Antiquities Commons and shit, because I think they'll be fun.
We'll do pre-modern plus Legends with no rares.
Or something like that. Yeah, we can make up some formats.
Pre-modern plus 4 horsemen minus the rares.
Yeah, something like that. No reserve list cards, no rares, no power 9. You just said something that reminded me of a format thing I was thinking about earlier, and now I forgot. What did you just say about formats? What was the first thing you said?
What did I say about formats? I said I had a deck. I'll have a deck soon. I can play.
Oh, I know.
Pauper,
I was
revised era.
thinking that it might be kind of fun. People always talk about playing in a format, but it might be kind of fun to cross formats, like play a deck from one format against a deck from another format. I mean, maybe not anything too radical, but if maybe you're doing like block decks around the same era, I'll be like, I'll play my Weatherlight block deck against your, Ice Age block deck.
I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah, take some blocks around that era. Maybe minus the Urza's block.
I was guessing like Urza's gets really strong. But yeah, like you could work something out,
Yeah.
You play with Urza's Destiny, I play with Urza's Legacy on top of all the other old cards, but I definitely want to build some decks that involve like plane shift cards and invasion. There are like some of those sets have some really fun looking cards in them. And the Urza's block.
I was listening to the pre-modcast a few days ago, and they were talking about Apocalypse, and they mentioned the IPA block. I guess that's the name of the invasion plane shift Apocalypse block.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, oh, that's a good block too.
Yeah, I like
cards around there.
Yeah, I would definitely play.
I was going to bring something else up based on what you just mentioned, and now I'm going to do what you just did. What did you just say, Alex?
You remember, just like I did, the mixing formats against each other.
Mixing formats against each other.
Playing.
Oh, you mentioned the Mirage block.
You did it.
I have a correction to my correction from last week.
Okay.
Last week I offered a correction. I made a correction to a discussion that we had the week previous about an artist, Richard Kane Ferguson.
Okay.
And 2 weeks ago I said he was the artist for some Mirage cards. And then last week I corrected that statement. And I said I was confused. He didn't illustrate any Mirage cards. He illustrated Alliances and Visions cards. I'm making a second correction to my I'm correcting my correction.
You found Mirage cards.
Yes. He was also the artist for multiple cards in Mirage, including the reprint of Drain Life, the reprint of Boomerang, and a couple other big ones too.
I love that reprint of Drain Life. I was using that back in the day, because I kind of got sick of that old revised Drain Life at some point. I was like, this is a nice. I like his art. It has I'm not sure what to call that quality. It reminds me of
It reminds me of the guy who's famous for Conan the Barbarian, who's
Oh yeah, like some of that fantasy art.
Yeah.
But it's a little more. It's like a little impressionistic because it's a little
more blocky,
deliberately like blurry and who did?
No, it's very good and very distinctive. And I've learned something: never correct myself. I'm always right the first time.
You're always right the first time. That's funny.
So that's on my MTG news for the.
I have something I found out. I don't know if this is really, it's not really news, but it's I guess part of our show where we clear up things that we don't know or learn things that we've been wondering.
Okay.
I had been wondering about the list we talked about the list. It's the block of cards that they include from older sets in the newer sets, like at random. Like there's not many of them, just like one per pack, maybe if you're lucky.
Mm-hmm.
And it changes periodically over time. They take things off and put things on. And I've been wondering how you figure out like how long a card has been in the list, or like, if it was only in the list for one set or whatever.
The kid at the LGS brought up the list to me because I mentioned a card, and he's like, "Oh, just so you know, it's going to be in the list, so the price might drop." I'm like, "Just give me the card."
Okay.
It was like a $3 card or something. Just sell me the damn card.
A few times this isn't podcast stuff, but a few times you're getting a little like choppy, and I don't know if
might be
it's going to
connection
be in
issue.
the recording or if it's just coming through on my computer, the recording.
I don't know.
But I don't know. We'll check it out in the finished version.
We're gonna need to get a high-speed connections at both of our homes in order to continue this podcast.
Yes, I have a high-speed connection.
Well, I guess I'm showing my age. Everybody has high-speed connections these days. What do we need? What's the fancy, like?
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about, where you get like your own connection of some sort, like a landline or something. What am I talking about?
I don't know.
Now, I'm also showing my ignorance when it comes to technology.
But anyways, I've been wondering about the list. So the two answers to my question. One, it's not very old, so it's not like this is something that's been started in 2020, I think. So it's only been around for a few sets, and it's not like there's a complicated history of it. But I did find, looking up, I found one that had like a list of the list that has what was in it in the last set and what is in it in Dominaria United, the current things. And I can look down at the bottom to see what are the new sets that they are adding to the list. And they've picked kind of like a few cards from a bunch of different sets, all over, like you would expect.
I did hear that Phyrexian Furnace was coming back to the list, which is something that was of pre-modern interest.
That's
and I just ordered 2.
There's a decent stack of about 10 invasion cards, including Sabo Tavok, who
I love Sabo.
Was cool. Collective Restraint.
I love Collective Restraint.
Elvish Champion, Kangi Airy Keeper.
Elvish Champion. I don't actually know Collective Restraint, but I think I have looked at Elvish Champion and kind of wanted to buy some at some point.
All elves get +1/+1 and have Forest Walk, and she's 2/2.
Yeah.
And Kangi Airy Keeper is a bird tribe legend. It helps birds, which I like. I want to make a bird.
I love birds.
Yeah. Trying to see what else was on here. Teremko Griffin and Amber Prison from Mirage. Cavern Harpy, which is a card I kind of like. I've mentioned that before. Urtai the Corrupted. Dromar's Cavern, but it's the only one of that 5-cycle land included. And I thought that was strange.
That is weird.
We would only have one of the cycle. But trying to see which other things were in here. Urtai's Meddling from Tempest. Phyrexian Furnace to Fairy's Veil from Weatherlight.
This thing you're looking at, does it give you the information that you originally asked about, which is how long something's been on the list? Wasn't it your original question?
Like, it has it separated into columns by set. So it has the list from Commander Legends Baldur's Gate, the list from Dominaria United.
So every time a new set is released, the list is updated.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to see how long something has been on a list, you could just track it over the different expansion releases and see how long.
Like I'm looking at a chart that has each one in a column. Relentless Rats has been in it for 5-6 sets now.
What is this site that you're looking at? What's the site?
I'm looking at it on MTG Fandom.
Okay.
Or the fandom part, the MTG part of fandom.com.
MTG Fandom.
mtg.fandom.com.
MTG Findom. That can be a site that we could start. I bet
But
we can make a lot of money.
okay.
That's how we can fund our purchases.
The one card though that I was gonna Croesus the Purger is on the list.
Why did you know what that meant, Alex, when I said Findom? Why did you start laughing when I said that?
I actually didn't. I thought
Oh,
you
okay.
said
Oh, damn it.
uh,
Okay.
but now I'm thinking it has something to do with fish porn.
No, that's disgusting. What are you talking about? That's so much worse than what it actually is. You freak. You're an absolute animal.
I don't know. I didn't say it. I don't know.
You did say it. It just came out of your mouth.
You said Findom.
Yeah, but what you said has never occurred to me in my entire life. I never had that thought.
Anyway,
This is
big
terrible.
card from the list. You're taking the wind out of the sails of my announcement. The big card, this is a card that I've been wanting to buy for a while, but it's like $35. And that is Contamination.
I don't even know what that is.
It's the one that has the black seahorse from Pestilence. He's also in Pestilence. It is an enchantment.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
The thing that I thought was a pile of sticks. Right?
Yeah, I
The
don't
thing
know.
that looks to me like a possessed pile of sticks.
Yeah.
That you say is a seahorse. Urza's Saga, Contamination, Enchantment, 2 colorless, 1 black. During your upkeep, sacrifice a creature or sacrifice Contamination. Whenever a land is tapped for mana, it produces black instead of its normal type and amount. Yeah, I think you did show this to me one time, and it's like it's an abyss essentially for as long as it stays in play. But then when you get rid of their last creature, it goes away, which of course the abyss doesn't do. Right? And during when an abyss is out during your upkeep, you have to sacrifice a creature, right?
Right.
So this is a temporary abyss, plus like a black blood moon almost.
Yeah. It's like its cost against you is like it's like upkeep cost or whatever is like an abyss, but it's
sorry. I'm okay. I'm gonna revise what I said. It's nothing like an abyss. It's just during your upkeep.
I was like trying to. I was like, kind of.
Okay, it's nothing like an abyss. It's killing your own creatures. You just need to run this with like a token generator or something.
Yeah,
you need to run it with
a creature, but it's screwing up all of their mana.
Yeah.
You play it in a mono black deck with like a lot of small creatures, and then they have no mana. So it's kind of like a color hate card, but it works against everyone instead of just being like a punish people just with plains or just with swamps or whatever.
Man, this is a $38 card, $37 card right now.
It's expensive. I've been watching it, hoping it would drop some more, but now it's on the list, so maybe it'll drop another few bucks for me. But
couple few
bucks. I like it. Reasonable casting cost. You can dark ritual that right into play.
But then you don't have any creatures to sacrifice to it.
Well, not the first turn, yeah.
This has had I'm looking at its chart in MTG stocks. It's just been a steady riser since 2015.
Yeah, it's clearly used somehow.
It had one ridiculous spike, but then it's already back to its normal trend line. So like that spike has come and gone already.
Yeah. While you're on there, this is a side topic, totally random. What do you think about the card Covetous Dragon? You look that up on there. It's from Urza's Destiny.
Let me pull up this Covetous Dragon.
Covetous Dragon. I've been looking at this card for a while. It's like a $5 card. And I want to buy one.
Let me pull this guy up.
I'm not sure if I'd ever play with it.
Doesn't matter.
But I kind of want to try to play with it.
You need to play with it. You can just sit in front of your box of cards and stare at them and touch them. And
it's reserved list.
It looks like a giant crab.
I like the artwork. He's all covetous on he's coveting.
I don't even know what he's coveting. He's just coveting
stuff. It's like a pile of it on the mountainside. He's just like sitting on it.
It's just hard from this image to see like where his face is. This image is kind of blurry. Okay. Covetous Dragon, 4 colorless, 1 red. 6/5 flyer. When you control no artifacts, sacrifice Covetous Dragon. Yeah.
I like him. I'm pretty quick to come into play for a 6/5 flyer. You have to play it on the right deck. The question is, would there be something that would be better than him in that deck? Which probably the answer is yes. But
it's a pretty cool card.
Yeah. How do you? Dealing with a 6/5 flyer early on.
Tough.
Yeah, tough.
I mean, I'd switch to plowshares. That's what I do. But yeah,
Destroy their artifacts if you can.
yeah. It's not like it's terribly easy to get rid of. Illustrated by RK Post. This is Marky Post's son. Shout out to Marky Post. It's not a bad card.
So that was a random sidetrack question. So what else? You so weird.
What else? This is the part of the show where I read Marky Post's Wikipedia now. Oh my God, she's dead.
What?
Oh my God, Marky Post is dead, Alex.
Sorry.
She died August 7th, 2021.
Oh, Night Court.
Yeah. She's known
show.
for her roles as bail bondswoman Terry Michaels in The Fall Guy on ABC. I don't even remember that.
No.
From 1982 to 1985, as public defender Christine Sullivan on the NBC sitcom Night Court from 1985 to 1992, and then a bunch of other stuff.
Old Man Magic. Alex and Steve talk about Night Court.
Which Night Court's old even for us. Like,
yeah,
I have no idea why I remember Night Court.
That was like a show we watched in syndication because it was on TV
and it was just on.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you anything about any episode of Night Court.
Not many.
Nothing.
A few details.
I just know that it existed and it was a thing that stuck in my head for some reason.
John Larroquette was like the narcissistic guy who was like kind of slimy and hit on women. And you had Bull, who was the big, tall bailiff guy.
Okay, you remember a lot more than me. I'm not. All these people are coming back to me now. I just remembered Marky Post.
Harry, the guy, is that his real
I remember
name?
the judge.
Yeah, he liked magic for some reason. He was always doing like magic tricks.
Yeah,
and he was like a nice judge. I think he kind of like gave people breaks and.
We should start another podcast where we watch and review every episode of Night Court.
Okay, I bet no one's doing that.
Rest in peace, Marky Post. Look at her alma mater, Alex. Lewis and Clark College, BA.
Oh, wow.
You got a Marky Post connection. Weird. Okay, shout out to Marky. Shout out to RK. RK Post.
So do you want to talk about finance? Do you want to talk about things that you got in the mail?
Let's talk about finance. I don't want to talk about the mail yet. That'll be a rant.
Okay, we can do another rant for that.
For a future episode. I can collect all of the mangled items that I've received in the mail recently and tell you how that was dealt with.
Okay. Do you have any financial news for us?
Yeah. Let's talk about segment 2. Now, this is segment 3. After segment 2 is Marky Post. Segment 3, our finance segment, Old Man Magic Finance. I'm going to talk about some recent, well, not so recent. It's been a trend. It's been an ongoing trend of a lot of cards on the reserve list, but specifically I'm going to talk about the Mirage cards because I think there's quite a few things in Mirage that are very reasonably priced right now. I know there's a lot printed, but it's a set that I like. There's still a lot of Mirage cards that I would like to pick up that I don't have. It's got a lot of reserve list cards, and quite a few of those reserve list cards, in my opinion, are pretty good. And I think they're available at, if not cheap prices right now, at least reasonable prices. So I'm going to talk about some of the reasonably priced Mirage reserve list cards.
Amen.
That I am either picking up or thinking about picking up. So let's start with Hall of Gemstone.
Awesome.
Hall of Gemstone, like a lot of things, had this crazy spike end of 2020, 2021. It went up from $10, $8 at the beginning of 2020 to $40 at the beginning of 2021. And it's just been a steady drop from $40 in March 2021 to its market price of $15 now. So Hall of Gemstone is one colorless, 2 green. Enchant world. During each player's upkeep, that player chooses a color. Until end of turn, each mana producing land produces mana of the chosen color instead of its normal color. So it's not as terrible for your opponents as Blood Moon, but I guess it all depends on the format you're playing in. In some cases, it could be just as good as Blood Moon. Other cases, maybe not as good. But I'm building a mono green deck, and so many decks, even in pre-modern, are not monocolored. Cards like this aren't as good outside of old school. I feel like outside of old school, there's probably, I shouldn't say outside of old school, because there's so much I don't know about the contemporary formats, the more contemporary formats. But old school, everybody likes to play duels. Everybody likes to play 5 colors. At least a lot of people do. At a minimum, 3 colors. If you're building a mono green deck, I'm thinking this seems like it might be a pretty decent include, or at least a decent sideboard card. Because most of the time your opponent is going to be playing more than one color. And if they're playing 3 colors, this could really slow them down in a lot of cases. And even really just could prevent a lot of things that they want to play. I'm thinking about different pre-modern decks that I've been looking at a lot, and even the 2-colored decks, they have a lot of multicolored spells in them. It's like, forget about it. If you wanted to play a multicolored spell when Hall of Gemstone is out, and you don't have like some sort of mana rock out,
forget about it, deck.
Forget about it. Forget about it.
Well, and it's very good against counter spells too, because they're going to be more,
Yeah. Yes. I don't know why I didn't say that, but that's always say like the big thing. Any blue deck, I just say green, and then that guy doesn't like my opponent with blue is not playing any. They're not playing any counter magic when I say green, and I'm playing my Rancors. I'm playing my Might of Oaks. I'm playing my Thorn Elementals, and they are countering nothing, Alex. Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Yeah, I like this card. I picked it up a while ago and it was like $19 or something. And if it's going down, I absolutely. And I love the artwork on it because it looks in person, not so much online, but like when you hold the card,
it's cool.
Really good. It looks almost like it's like a foil or a Dazzly special kind of card.
I picked up one around 22, like at the beginning of this year. And if it keeps dropping more, I'll just pick up more.
Yeah.
I might buy every damn Hall of Gemstone in existence, except for the one that you have. Who knows? So that was my first reasonably priced card from Mirage. Another card that's dropped quite a bit that I don't have a copy of yet. I've looked at this card multiple times. I've almost bought a copy of this card multiple times, and I always end up not buying it because I'm like, I don't know if I'll play it or not. But
that's what I did today.
Reparations from Mirage. So this is at a couple spikes. This spiked like crazy at the beginning of the pandemic from a market price of like $1 or $2 to 15 over the course of 3 or 4 months. And it's just been working its way down from 15 to about a $5 market price where it is right now.
Yeah, I like to say there were $4 or $5.
It is 1 colorless, 1 white, 1 blue enchantment. Whenever target opponent successfully casts a spell that targets you or a creature you control, you may draw a card. So, a white-blue control deck, which are often based around, in part at least, card advantage. This seems like a decent way to get some card advantage.
Yeah, I don't hate
in blue-white. Low casting cost.
I almost bought one. I missed it the first time I read through your notes. For some reason, I skipped over this card specifically, and then when I saw it on there again, it was after I'd placed my order this week, so I didn't buy any. But I'll definitely pick up 1 or 2 of these at some point. For $4, there's no reason not to have this to play with.
Yeah, I'll definitely play it at some point. See how it works. See how it goes when it's actually in my deck. How many cards I actually get to draw from it. Whether or not there's anything else I would rather put in. Blue has a lot of card draw already.
Yeah.
But in the pre-modern format, at least a lot of the card draw is like, not that much draw really. It's a lot of scrying and reordering and
Yeah,
reshuffling.
and I mean the downside of this is that you're probably going to be countering a fair amount of the things that do target you or your stuff, so
That is also true.
you won't get to use it if you're countering the spells. But I mean, I don't know, maybe it has a place in a deck that's like white heavy with not much blue in it, you know?
That's what I was thinking. Mostly like a white heavy deck where I sprinkle in maybe a couple spells that only require one blue.
Uh-huh.
Like maybe run 4 mana leaks
Impulses and
for
brainstorm.
occasional counters, and then maybe run a reparations or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a way to play with it for fun.
Yeah. This is definitely a kind of card that I might play and then just never put it in a deck again and be like, yeah, it wasn't really worth it. Because like the important point that you brought up is, you're playing blue, you're going to be countering a lot of their stuff. So how many cards are you actually going to get from this?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It depends. Yeah.
It depends. But it's not expensive.
No, it's not. It's a steal. And for as good
Either
as
way, it's not a terrible card. It's definitely not terrible. It's
for being not terrible and reserved list, I'm surprised it has gone down again as quickly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it has plummeted.
Better than a rock basilisk.
Yeah, yes. Whoever tried this buyout, it was a failure so far. Sorry, I burned down your village. Here's some gold. That's the flavor text. Another one. And I did buy a copy of this. I placed an order for a copy of this week.
Full disclosure.
Full disclosure, I have a small position in Tombstone Stairwell from Mirage.
Yeah.
This is going
last week or the week before, I think.
I did. We talked about it already. It's going to my Gabagools.
Oh, yeah.
Tombstone Stairwell, 2 colorless, 2 black, enchant world, cumulative upkeep, 1 colorless, 1 black. This one goes on forever. During each upkeep, each player puts into play a tomb spawn token for each summon card in his or her graveyard. Treat these tokens as 2/2 black creatures that are unaffected by summoning sickness and count as zombies. At end of any turn, or if Tombstone Stairwell leaves play, bury all those tokens. So you get a burst of zombie attackers with haste.
Yeah. I like it.
It had a crazy spike. I remember
people used this back in the day, but I didn't really, for some reason, I don't know if I didn't like it or I wasn't, it just wasn't a card that I had or used, but I knew of it. And when I read it now today, it seems better than I guess my memory of it had been.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty good finisher to me, and it may be it may be a champion in my soon to come Gabagool deck.
I love it. I'm glad that you saw Festering Goblin.
Festering Goblin.
Set up with advanced search on Gatherer with by combining whatever goblins and zombies. And
I always forget I can do stuff like that.
It's a good card, man, for 1 black mana. I like that card.
Were there other Zoblin combis?
I don't think so. I think that was the only one that was there might have been one
an actual goblin zombie.
There were several, but they weren't old border. They were all newer set cards.
Oh, okay.
I think there might have been one more. I'm trying to find it.
Man, that's not going to do it for me.
This was the one that stood out, though. This was the one. But anyways, your next card, which I'm excited about because as soon as you told, we go ahead.
I've talked about this recently too, but I'm talking about it again because I make the rules here. This is my podcast. I get to do whatever I want. I could talk about a card every friggin' week if I want to.
Or Night Court.
Or Night Court, yes. Or Marky Post. Cadaverous Bloom. Reserve list rare from Mirage. 3 colorless, 1 black, 1 green enchantment. Choose a card in your hand and remove it from the game. Add 2 black or 2 green to your mana pool. Play this ability as a mana source. So this is a highly playable card. I mean, it was a card in championship decks, competitive decks back in the day when Mirage was released, and it's reserve list, and it's $6 right now.
Yeah. I'm not sure why this card didn't spike more than it did in 2021.
It's one of the most famous cards for Mirage, and it's reserve list. Yeah, and it didn't really. Well, I mean, it did go up from its lowest 2020 $2 to $20, so it did really go 10x
for a while. I guess that's the real thing is why it was cheap for a while. I guess because it wasn't in a format that
Yeah, it was crazy cheap.
But Yeah, I could have seen this spiking harder compared to the way some cards spiked and the fact that it's like a playable iconic card.
Yeah,
And you emailed me and said that it was down to $6. I bought two of them.
yeah. I got 3 now. Full disclosure.
I'm just gonna grab two of those real quick while they're cheap. Uh, and I also bought two Sands of Time, not reserved list, but from Visions. Uh, and it's never been reprinted, and it's down to like $4 or something.
Oh, I
I'm
should
just
pick one
gonna
up too.
get this because eventually someone's gonna buy a bunch of Sands of Times.
I
And
bought one Sands of Time probably like 2 months ago, and it arrived with a giant binder dent in it.
oh,
It
I
was
remember that.
I supposedly was purchasing a near mint Sands of Time, and I didn't bother to send it back. But that person is on my list now, by the way. Just don't
But
let
yeah,
that sound
never
already on my
assume at
list.
$6. Yeah, I'll buy a couple of those.
Yeah. So those are my Mirage Market moves, Mirage cards I'm eyeing. I'll
Sweet.
probably pick up at least a copy of all of these in the next couple months. They're all cards that I want to play with. They're all cards that are reasonably priced, and they're all reserve list cards.
Um, cool. A couple things I noticed financially. Um, Helm of Obedience is up a little bit. It looks like it's gone from
Oh
about
no.
60 to 70.
No, I want that to go
Yeah,
in the other direction.
yeah. I have one, so I'm okay with that, but uh
Full disclosure, I have one too. Full disclosure.
sweet. Uh a weird card, something that is happening. I just thought I'd mention Helm of Obedience. I'm not sure why someone used it in some small tournament or something. I think someone had a Helm of Obedience.
Yeah. They're
Got
just
some.
fun. Cards like that are just fun to play. I just
I
want to
think
make
it's
like
fun. And
just
can I ask you? Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to make like non-competitive decks. I mean,
Uh-huh.
all the decks I make will be non-competitive because I'm not a tournament player or anything. But just like fun decks for like tabletop magic, where you just steal your opponent's creatures, mill your opponent's
Yeah,
decks.
I love
Helm of
stealing
Beans
my
just
opponent's
fun.
stuff, man.
Yeah.
So much fun. And that's why I don't understand. I know it's been reprinted and it's not reserved list like Helm of Obedience, but Grinning Totem is sense compared to Helm of Obedience. And I feel like they're pretty similar cards. They don't do the exact same thing, but I like they have the same kind of feel to them about like going into your opponent's library. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah,
yeah, Helm
Grinning
of
Totem,
Obedience
so cheap.
move. Huh?
Grinning Totem, so cheap. Again, not competitive,
I
but
bought
super
like
fun
two more
card.
this week in my order. I throw a few Grinning Totems on top. I just sprinkle them on whenever I'm
Yeah.
ordering.
Full disclosure, I might have 73 copies of Grinning Totem.
Might have a dozen Grinning Totems. Um, for no reason. Uh, Don Don from Arabian Nights, Steve.
Oh, the fish. There's a
Reprinted and time shifted, or some said like that. But you know what I'm talking about.
there's a whole
Don Don.
thing going on with Don
Yep.
Don
Yes,
that
there
I
is.
don't remember, and it was a thing back in the day when we played, and it's still a
Was it?
thing. There's
Really? It
like
is
a
old?
Don Don format or something,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Okay. I didn't know it was old. I thought it was like a newer thing.
I
But
could be wrong, but I think it's old,
uh
and I don't know anything about it other than it exists.
so what I read today about it, and maybe this is a second new Don Don format or whatever, but there is a specific format for this that is driving the price up. People are buying the black bordered Don Dons right now. Um, so the Chronicles Don Don hasn't really gone up, but there's a time shifted one which has, and that's kind of like the last thing I ever would have expected. It's not even the Arabian Nights. Time shifted Don Don has gone from $1 to $10.
That's weird. You know, this format probably didn't exist when we played, but it's always been a meme card for some reason. Like
Yeah, well,
people always
I
joked
do
about it.
know that there was someone who posted a long time back about how they hoard them and
Yeah,
collect Arabian Nights Don Dons like a mother,
yeah,
and he showed like stacks of this card that he had. Uh, but it's in short, it's a weird format. It uses a common deck between both players, and you
yeah. I'm
both
reading this
draw
right
from
now.
the same deck and the same graveyard. And Don Don is like the only damage dealing thing and the only creature. And the rest of the cards are like library manipulation and counter spells and stealing creatures. So you're basically going back and forth trying to
Get the Don
steal
Dons.
each other's draw, like make your opponent draw a bad card, or you draw the next good card, or return things, or counter them, or and it just like cycles kind of in and out. Things cycle in and out of the deck in the graveyard, and yeah, it's weird.
So the only way to do damage is with the Don Don, right?
I believe so. And then
That's
you
what it
can
looks
also
like.
win by making your opponent like you can get a milling win because it'll be your opponent's turn to draw when the deck is out.
Okay, I was gonna say, how does that work if you share the same deck? But
Yeah.
it's just too.
It's like hot potato. It's literally back and forth. Like
Okay, yeah.
when it gets
Whoever's
down to
turn it
two
is.
cards, you're trying to like, you know, bring cards back into the from the graveyard to like stall that from happening. So it sounds sort of interesting.
Don Don is the only real threat in the deck, at least insofar as it's the only way to actually deal damage. Mill victories are possible. Interesting. This sounds like something people came up with when they were bored and high.
Well, honestly, yeah, I think they said that people came up with it because they were somewhere where they had like at a camp and they had cards that weren't ideal and they tried to figure out what they could play with the stack of cards they had.
All they had was Don Don.
Yeah. Apparently they had someone's like stack of blue junk or whatever, you know.
It's weird that this picked up.
Yeah.
Like of all the weird
Part of
formats
it's
that I'm sure
meme
people.
value probably, but
Yeah, that's true.
people say it's fun and they say it gets the one thing I read this is the article I read actually that you're looking at.
Okay. Commandersherald.com. Weird magic formats. What's the deal with Don Don? Shout out to commanderheralds.com.
Yeah,
Commandersherald.com.
looking at the article and learning from it. One thing he said farther down is that it makes you think a whole lot because it's like I'm not sure how he put it, but I'll see it when you get down there. But he was just
That
talking
sounds
about how
terrible, thinking a lot.
yeah, I know. uh, I think he was trying to speak to the depth of the format that you'll have these. You have all these possibilities and you're trying to figure out. Yeah, there it is. The sheer amount of thought I needed to make the most simple decisions made my brain hurt. And he's like,
I hate playing
yeah,
this.
yes, I could counter the Don Don, but will that matter? I know my opponent has this, so they could easily draw it back, or they blah blah blah. So it seems like there's all this debating on like whether it's the right time to make the move or whatever, and that kind of it makes it seem maybe like a little deeper, but not that fun to me. It seems like it's almost like there's so many possible choices that you're just as well off making them randomly. You know,
I've talked about this is an issue I brought up when it came to playing multiple cards. When I've talked about how I don't like necessarily there are some cards that I've come across where I thought I could put this in my deck because it seems good under certain situations. But the number of factors that I have to take into account and the number of possibilities that I have to think about when deciding exactly how I want to play the card can be overwhelming, and also sometimes it's hard to figure out. It's hard to figure out not only what the best decision is to make when you're making the play, but it's also hard to know if there even is a best decision.
Yes, yeah.
Like is there even an optimal play here?
Yeah, because of what I don't know, yeah, it might just be like a 50-50.
I try to avoid situations like that at all times.
I was thinking of you talking about this today when I read this, or maybe it was a different card I was looking at or something. But yeah, it's I don't know. And someone brought up the comment that like at this point, why don't you just like play chess? You know what I mean? Because you're in a fairly restricted format where the game kind of goes back and forth with each other and you're trying to outthink each other, but it's in a pretty restricted way. And it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. The thing I like about Magic is there's so much extra, you know, variability with the cards you can use and all of that. It's, you know, more open than a game of chess.
Yeah.
Specific rules.
Yeah. This article. That's not to say it can't be answered, just that you'll need a bigger brain than mine to do so. It's above my play grade. I found it near impossible to tell who's in the lead, as a single well-timed spell can flip the game on its head.
Yeah, that sounds kind of random to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I won't be playing it, but I just thought it was interesting. That's driving the praise of Don Don up.
Interesting. How many people I don't even think there's that many people that play this format. It's really just an old school guy format, I think. And it's probably just like 10 people who are trying to own every copy of Don Don.
Yeah, then there's some people who saw the format, so they're speculating.
Yeah, people saw the price go up and they heard about this. And like, let me buy some Don Don too. If we would have just bought as many Don Don as we could have back in like 94 and just held them for
Yeah,
20 years, what would have been the rate of return? But then we would have had to unload.
you could have done better with something else.
Yeah, we talk about this. You have to then you have to unload 7,000
Yeah.
copies of a card. You could have just bought a stock and collect the dividends and not done anything.
Yeah.
And then if you want to sell it, you just press a button. You don't have to package
Yeah.
7,000 different things and
True, no packaging.
then have the post office destroy half of them and deal with returns and blah, blah,
blah. Like I said, I have lots of cards I bought this week, so I could talk about any or all or many of them.
Okay, so that'll be the end of our finance segment number 2. Let's go into Alex's special topic of the week, segment number 3, special topic of the week. Alex's Urza's purchases.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
non-Urza's purchases too.
This one's actually the first one is from Odyssey, but then I'll talk about some Urza's purchases.
Okay.
I wanted to buy a petrified field for like $4.
Don't know what this is. A lot of these will probably be new to me because I'm not familiar with most of the cards in Urza's, and I'm not familiar with most of the cards in Odyssey.
I don't think this is super good, but for some reason I want the art and I kind of like it. You can tap it. It's a land you can tap for a colorless, or you can sacrifice it to return a land card from your graveyard to your hand. And that's an effect to me that, a lot of stuff brings creatures back, but to bring land back, if you have like a really special important land in your deck that someone destroys and you need to bring it back, this might be a way to do that.
What else does this?
I don't know. Only a card that affects everything and not land, like regrowth.
This is an interesting card. I mean, other than Harvest Worm, you can Harvest Worm to bring it. When you play Harvest Worm, isn't the card you have to?
Okay.
You have to bring a card. You have to bring a land back from your graveyard when you cast Harvest Worm. Let me Google this real quick because I can't remember if it's like a forest specifically or any land. Harvest Worm comes into play. Oh, return any basic land card from your graveyard to your hand.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, if you have
with your,
a
like,
non-basic land that somebody wastelands or strip mines and you want it back,
got to get your Maze of Ith back.
this is how you do it.
Back. Yeah, and I like the artwork on it. It's pretty cool. It's a good looking card with the black border. Has like a stark yellow and black look to it. I kind of like it.
Is there like a warrior in the middle of this?
Yeah, he looks like some kind of Death Knight kind of guy. Maybe dead. I think they're all
petrified
soldiers. Yeah.
That's a pretty cool card.
Neat card.
Not overly expensive.
Nope.
It's not even at its highs. Back in 2016, it was $10. It's just been kind of slowly drifting down. Sideways or down.
Sideways or down. Yeah, it's a weird. That's a card that spiked at a weird time relative to everything else. It had saw like no action in 2021.
Yeah, what was going on in 2016 that made everybody think they needed a petrified field all of a sudden?
Okay, so what I think I might do is push these Urza's purchases back.
Okay.
So next week, because I have a lot of them.
Oh boy.
Unless we forget, you think we'll forget or have something more important to talk about? Because I don't know if we get through this many commons that we're not familiar with.
We can do that next week.
But I have a few other cards I bought. I bought a lot of cards this week, so I can talk about a few of them. Let's see. I mentioned Hull Breach before from Plane Shift. I bought a playset of this week because I feel like I really need to have this card for any format from like that block or involving commons from that era.
Really, what is this? I need to know this card.
It's a red-green sorcery, one of each, one red, one green, and you can use it to either destroy an artifact, an enchantment, or one of each if you can. That's the way I read that.
This seems so good. It's a green red disenchant.
It's two colors for sure, but I mean, if you're playing a red-green deck, why wouldn't you be able to cast this? It's just 2 mana.
Well, so my green
destroy 2 things with it.
Yeah, my green Stompy deck that I'm building, it's actually green red. I've sprinkled in some red for some reasons that will be revealed later
There are reasons to sprinkle in red.
when I whoop you with it. It's going to be a
Oh,
surprise the first time around.
surprise
But
whooping. All right.
Hull Breach, at a minimum, definite sideboard, but probably. I mean, when are you ever playing against somebody that doesn't have at least an artifact or an enchantment that you really need to get
Yes.
rid of?
You're always going to be able to kill one thing. And I
Yeah.
think any game is, unless you need to get rid of something immediately, you'll be able to like time this so that you can destroy two things with it.
Yeah, let me see that. No, it says choose one, destroy target artifact or destroy target enchantment or destroy target artifact and enchantment. Yeah. It's or both. You could 2 for 1 with it.
Yeah, if you can.
That's a good card.
Let's see what else. Not a new card to us, but I scooped up a couple false orders. We've talked about this before, and it had kind of spiked a minute ago, and I was angry, and now it was back down to $3. So I picked up a couple, and I'm going to keep buying this card if it's $3.
Buy them all. Full disclosure, Alex.
I'm going after false orders. I like
Is this
I have a beta one.
Okay, I was going to ask what edition you were purchasing.
What was that stupid spike a couple months ago where someone tried to buy this out?
Yeah.
Fool. It's not a bad card. It's a
Fool's Errand.
Fool's Errand. It's a 1 red instant. It's never been reprinted after Unlimited. And it's a 1 red instant, and you get to shift a blocking decision.
Is there any reason why they're never going to reprint this again?
No, they'll probably
just nobody plays with it, or what?
I think there's other cards that are maybe even better at this point. Or
you decide whether and how one defending creature blocks, though you can't make a choice the defender couldn't legally make. Play after defender is chosen defense, but before damage is dealt. I don't know what else does this. There are definitely cards where you decide what blocks what.
Yeah. But I think they're usually more like a higher casting cost.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to think. Like, how do you if you want a card that does that? If you want a card that does that, how do you make it better than a 1 mana instant?
Right. Exactly. I mean, you can make it a cantrip and you draw a card too.
Yeah,
but,
that's true.
I don't know if that exists. There might be. There's probably something kind of better, but I think it's a cool card. It's old school Magic. I like. It just seems like an old school card to me.
It is very old school. Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm gonna keep buying those.
Just buy everyone in existence.
A little fun project of mine.
Buy them out, Alex.
I'll buy them.
That's going to be the title of this episode. Alex buys out false orders.
Don't do it. No, you have to wait for
Not yet. I gotta wait. That's true.
I only have 4.
Not full disclosure. No full disclosure yet.
Few other things I bought. Let's see. I might have mentioned before when we were recording from Mercadian Masks, the card Hoodwink.
Why am I typing in Mercadian?
You're typing in Mercadian Masks. Hoodwink. This is like a boomerang, but it works well. You can see.
I like a lot of the art of Mercadian Masks. I wasn't really paying attention to Mercadian Masks. I think I've said before I bought 2 packs of Mercadian Mask, and I wasn't even playing at the time anymore. I think I was just in a Barnes and Noble, and I saw that a new set came out, and I picked two packs up. But since I've been looking through some of these old sets I never paid attention to, I've been finding lots of cards that I look fun to play in Mercadian Mask, and then also lots of cards which is cool art. I like the art style.
Yeah, I agree.
One colorless, one blue.
Tower of the Magistrate looks that you have. I'm jealous of that card.
Which one?
Tower of the Magistrate that you pulled.
Yeah.
I like that card.
Yeah, that was one I didn't buy. I just pulled it out of a pack. One of the 2 packs I bought. Return target artifact, enchantment, or land to its owner's hand. Yeah,
1 blue, 1 color. So it doesn't need 2 blue like a boomerang.
Yeah.
You can play it against your opponent or on your own stuff to bring your own stuff back.
Just no creatures.
Yeah.
Can't boomerang creatures.
So I'd put it in some kind of deck that is an unsummony deck, along with like unsummons or boomerangs that work on creatures. And have that in there too. Or I'd play it in a deck where I needed to return one of my artifact enchantments or lands to my hand for some reason.
Yeah, 4 hoodwinks, 4 boomerangs, 4 unsummons, 4 don-dons.
You can pop your Tombstone Stairwell back into your hand with this.
Yes. 4 Tombstone Stairwell.
It's 20-cent card. It's never been reprinted. So I was like, okay, I'll have that. I'll play. I can find some way to play with that.
20 cents. Arcadian Mass Common, Hoodwink.
I just learned about this card and I was like, I have to buy this for multiplayer games. It's from Onslaught and it is called Chain of Acid.
Ooh.
Never been reprinted. It's an uncommon. 1 green, 3 colorless sorcery. You destroy target non-creature permanent, and then they can copy that spell, this spell, and use it again on what they want.
Destroy target non-creature permanent. This can wreak havoc in a multiplayer game.
Mhm.
Destroy target non-creature permanent. That permanent's controller can copy the spell. Choose a new target. Yikes.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay extra mana for that.
I don't know. The way I read it, they don't have to pay the casting cost. They just get to decide if they want to use it.
Copy the spell. They
always would.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna look this up on Gather because when did that destroy like every non-creature permanent on the field? Then yeah, let me look that up. It seems like they may have errated that because afterwards they were like, oh, maybe we should have made this more clear.
Either way, I like it though.
Yeah, no, either way, it's cool. Either way, it's definitely fun for a multiplayer game.
There's no ruling posted on it.
No, there's nothing. Yeah, so just destroys everything. It's cool art too. Interesting.
Yeah,
interesting. Uncommon sorcery from Onslaught.
Wreak havoc.
This person calls it a Vindicate in Elves desks, but Vindicate is just destroy target permanent. There's nothing about opponents then being able to copy it.
Yeah, that's not a very good comparison.
No. This was, of course, I'm reading some of the comments on Gather because I'm trying to figure out if you have to pay the casting costs, even though it looks to me like you clearly don't have to pay the casting cost. Anyone can end it early? For example, say you cast this when you have 4 lands and your opponent only has 2. You're playing a land destruction deck. You target one of his remaining lands and kill it. He can send it back to you, but then you can send it to him as well. Then it'll be 3 lands to 0. If he chooses not to send it back to you, then it's 4 lands to 1. Does this create a chain of destroying everything until someone has no non-creature permanents, or a misunderstanding of the wording? Now, this person has the same question we have, and then this person is responding to him saying, yes, anyone could end it whenever, but that doesn't really answer the guy's question.
No.
Yeah. He's just saying you can end it early, but that also
if you
open the possibility.
One step like a disadvantage of like a 1 permanent disadvantage. Like it's always usually in your interest to send it back to them depending on what permanents are left. If they have a lot of crap, then it wouldn't, Here
we go. Interesting question. Does copying a spell count as casting it? I don't think so, but if it does, that doesn't answer the question either. Yeah, no, I just think you don't have to pay. You have to pay mana for.
Yeah, I don't think so. But we'll find out more maybe.
Yeah, and this is a way, like if you're up on permanents, this is a way to take your opponent down to 0. Well, and still to remain ahead.
And it's a way, it only uses 1 green. So in green or in a deck that doesn't have a lot of permanent destruction because it's green and something else, like it's a good what I'm trying to say is I think it's a good way to add to this color pie, like some flexible destruction. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Green wouldn't normally have a spell that can destroy just like any permanent.
Chain of Acid. Very cool.
Yeah, that was a neat find. I'm not sure how I stumbled upon that, but so I bought a couple of those. Let's see what else.
Full disclosure, what is your position size in Chain of Acid now?
4. I have 4 Chain of Acid.
Okay, good.
40 cents a piece or something. I bought Nimble Mongoose. I don't know if this is good. I'm not sure about this card. I think it's good.
Nimble Mongoose.
Uncommon from Odyssey.
Sounds like something I might want in a green stompy. Let me see what it does. Oh, it has Shroud.
Yep.
1 green, 1/1.
Nice use of Shroud.
And
Steve.
it has threshold. Yeah, I know. I'm learning the new lingo. Uh it's definitely not bad.
No, I mean at the very least he's 1 green, 1/1 with Shroud.
Yeah, I'm
So
trying to think
like
about my other
okay.
green 1/1s.
And
So
he'll be better. He'll be a 3/3 for 1 mana late in the game. The question is, do you need a fast little creature late in the game?
yes, that's the question. So when you want a 1-drop in green,
Could that 1 mana better be used on, like a giant growth or a something else situational late in the game? I don't know. I think it's good enough.
here's the 1-drop that I have planned for Green
Okay.
Stompy.
Okay.
Basking Root Walla, 1 green, 1/1. And it's pumpable. One
Right.
colorless, but it's not, the Mongoose has the Shroud, which is a pretty good ability.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You could sideboard the root wallas against discard decks.
Yeah, madness.
Yeah, it's okay, Mongoose. He's a happy Mongoose. You can get some
Nimble,
covers.
nimble Mongoose. Interesting.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, Alex, what's your position in the nimble Mongoose?
4. 4 and
Okay.
23 cents piece.
Nimble Mongoose just been dropping in price from 2013 till now.
Weird. Yeah,
$2 in 2013,
he
steady
was
drop.
apparently used in standard is how I read that. He
Yeah.
was in the and then it rotated out and no one wanted it anymore.
I like it. I need to learn all these 1-drops. 1-drops and 2-drops in green and decide which ones I want to put in
I
my
know there's
in
a
my
lot to
Stompy
compare.
decks.
A lot to compare.
I know.
I bought 3 Eisen Crusaders.
Nice.
Just talk about that.
Yours were not destroyed. Mine arrived destroyed in the mail.
I'm sorry, Steve.
Oh, and I did get
It
the
was
guy.
really destroyed too. I saw.
Yeah, the guy was nice. He just said, "Don't worry about sending him back. I'll just give you a refund." So there are a couple things that I don't. You on TCG Player. So I having stuff just showing up destroyed, and then I have to ask for refunds because I ordered these things near mint, and I know that it's not the seller's fault that they were destroyed by the post office. The post office is clearly destroying them.
Yeah.
But the post office will not offer me any sort of refund.
Because you
They
didn't
say you have to go to the seller because the seller improperly packaged them. Now, the seller is packaging them the way all sellers are packaging Magic cards. They're putting them in some sort of shield and they're putting them in an envelope. For some reason, the sorter here is destroying those. So my only alternative is to either eat the damage, to just take the loss, eat the loss, or to ask the seller for a refund. I'm gonna ask the seller for a refund every time because it's definitely not my fault. I'm just trying to get near mint cards.
The thing is, the post office should be compensating someone for this, whether it's the seller or you.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
they're not. They're not. They
yeah,
don't. They
it's
just say
stupid.
it's not our fault. It was improperly packed. Where was I going with this? Oh, so I'm contacting people saying, "Oh, your items arrived damaged," and you can't send photographs of the damage to people on TCG Player.
Oh,
It's like
wait, really?
the TCG, unless I've said this to multiple people that I've been corresponding with. I'm like, here's what happened. I'd be happy to send an image of the card, but I can't find a way to attach images in this message in the TCG Messenger.
So I can do it when I've done it as a dispute through TCG Player directly, like to them.
Uh-huh.
But they email you. That's why. So I'm just emailing them back.
Yeah. So this bothers me that I can't apparently can't show the people how the cards arrived.
Yeah,
Now
that's
it's not really proof because if I was a psychopath, I would just damage it myself and then send the photograph.
right. But that doesn't really help you if you're scamming people. It's
Yeah.
still
But anyways, this guy with the Crusaders arrived. I told him what happened. He just gave me a refund because they were so cheap. He probably didn't want to go through
yeah.
all the hassle. Because I
This
also
sucks.
said to
The
him,
post office should be paying for it.
"Yeah, hold on a second. Can you hold on a second? I'll
Hmm?
be right back." Okay, we're back. I can't remember what I was talking about. I was talking about the Crusader. I was talking about the refund. Oh, the guy just decided to refund me because I bought the cards for like $1.50 a piece, and The TCG player, the protocol for returns is for the seller to provide you with self-addressed
Yeah.
envelope with postage. So
Yeah.
it's like, if they want the cards back, they have to go through that extra hassle of
Yeah.
packaging up, paying the postage to get it back and resending it to me. He probably didn't want to pay the postage for cards that he was probably making $2 on.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, but anyways.
It's just unfortunate that's happening to you over and over again with your local post office. Like you have some fucking like local slash regional post office that's like has a faulty sorting machine and is chewing
Yeah.
up your cards. Like what
And
the
you know
hell?
what? I'm going to show you something. I'm going to step away for 1 second. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to show you something.
I've seen these cards. He's gonna show me, I think. I've seen some of them and they looked eaten to hell.
Every single card that this has happened with has been in this specific package inside of an envelope.
Oh,
The
in those little
cardboard
ones.
shipping shield.
Ah.
So these are getting stuck in the sorter when it's in an envelope. Every single card that has been damaged has been in this specific package, this specific brand.
So
when they put it in a rigid plastic shield, I've never had this problem.
weird.
It's this cardboard thing, and it's not that thick. And I've said this to one of the sellers. I was like, it was in this specific shield. Every card that this has happened to has been in the shield. And the person's like, oh, it's not that. It can't be that. I only put 2 cards in there, and I send somebody like 20 cards at a time, which is thicker than that. So if that doesn't get stuck, why would this get stuck?
That's interesting because I've heard people say, I don't know if this is really true, but I've heard people say that certain ways that you ship these, like I guess if it's thicker, what happens is it causes it to not go through the machine.
Exactly.
And they hand pull it or whatever. So it might be in some like marginal in between range where it's not thick enough to get stopped, but too thick to like go through like a flexible envelope.
Yeah. And the other thing I don't like about TCG Player is beforehand, I can't say to the people, don't ship it in this.
Yeah. You can't communicate with them like ahead of time, like with the order.
Yes.
It's kind of weird. Yeah. They have
So
some flaws in their like interface with communicating to people.
so this is the damaged sulfur springs. I'm still waiting for the return self-addressed envelope to send this back to the person.
That sucks. Oh.
The last time I sent it back to somebody, I sent it back in the shipping shield because that's what they provided me with, and they received half of the envelope. So it was damaged coming to me, and then when I sent it back to them in the same packaging that they provided to me, it was ripped in half, and they received half of the card that did not have the card I was trying to return to them.
That's great.
And then a couple weeks later, I received the other half from my post office. They sent it back to me. So it's like I even tried to return the damaged card, and they re-damaged it when they were resending it back out.
Wow.
And again, it's in this.
Yeah.
But did I ask you? Did I just ask you if you've received things in this?
I have received things in that, but not many. I've probably only gotten like 3 or 4 orders from with those, and they've been okay. But I don't know. They might have been thicker orders too. It might have had several cards in there.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Ice and Crusader, your Homelands purchase.
yeah. We've talked about this. We're gonna keep stealthily buying this up. It's rare. We're gonna make it like Didgeridoo, like the only other card in the set worth money.
I think this is a good card, I think.
If it works like the Gatherer errata says, then I think it's sweet, and a lot of people just don't realize what it does because they haven't looked at the errata. They see this card in their hand and they're like, oh, that sucks. Heroes.
Yeah. Power and toughness each equal to 2 plus the number of heroes you control, and the errata has changed heroes to soldiers.
Warriors and soldiers.
Warriors and soldiers. And many things produce soldier tokens. Yeah.
Sleeper. Speaking of which, I got 2 Kildoran outposts.
This is a card. That should be more than $15, I think.
So I was going to ask you about it before I bought it, and then I was like, no, I'm just going to buy it because Soldevi Excavations. It had a little spike. We talked about that last week. It had a spike and it went back down. And I was like, I'm going to pounce on it at 17 before anything else bad happens. And this is about the same price. It's a little bit under 20, 15, or $17. Reserve list. I feel like it could be the target of a buyout. And I want it for play. And MTG Seattle had 2 of them. So I was like, I'm just going to buy both of them because I'm on a buying splurge this week.
This is one of my favorite cards from Alliances. It was one of my favorite cards from Alliances when the set first came out. I have one that I pulled out of a pack way back in the day, and I have a second that I bought not that long ago for around $20. And I want more. It should be more expensive, I think. I like this card a lot. And yes, combine it with your Ice and Crusader. We can make a kick-ass Alliances block white weenie deck. With Jotun Outposts and Ice and Crusaders. When I think
about generating white tokens, this is the card I think about. Maybe there are some that are better, but to me, I'm always kind of thinking, oh, I could do this if I have something that generates white tokens, but I don't have any of these, so I'm like, I better buy 1 or 2 of them.
I like this card a lot. What I do hear about playing it in the pre-modern format is people say that so many decks run 4 wastelands and people just wasteland the hell out of it. It's like it doesn't get to stay in play, but that's why you run your petrified field in the same deck.
I run my wasteland destroying card. I could play a whole bunch of sweet lands that they can't decide how many, which ones they want to wasteland. There's too many targets. I can play some things that destroy their wastelands first.
How do you do that? Can you destroy somebody's wasteland first?
No, I mean,
it would sack like your wasteland in response to their sacked wasteland, and then yours wins.
Yeah, it would be. Well, I don't know. You could have like my wasteland and your wasteland. I don't know. Never mind.
Yeah, you need a wasteland in their wasteland.
Yeah. Ahead of time, before they try to do it to me.
Well, I don't know. Remember, since I'm stupid, how does it work? I can remember how it works. Do you do it before? Does the person who does it first lose if the next person sacrifices it in response and you just wasteland their wasteland?
I want to say I think so, but I don't know if there's something.
I think so too. I think you got to wait.
We're already into like episode 6 and we still haven't figured out like how the stack works, so we do that for next week.
I gotta.
So that's our job for next week.
When we came up with the name
purchases, for this, we're gonna have the stack. We're gonna have angels.
When we came up with a name for this podcast, and you were like, "Oh, there's an old man out there already." And I looked it up, and it was the Dominaria Community College guy who had like a segment where he would bring on the old man rants. He has one on the stack. I was looking at him the other day. I was like, oh, there's a couple things I need to look. There's a couple of videos I need to watch from that series. One was like how the stack works. I think he ranted about damage on the damage is now on the stack. He has a rant about mana burn that I need to watch.
I was gonna say mana burn. I think he has one on that. Yeah,
and then he has a rant about interrupts too. Because just the other day we were talking about something's an interrupt now or something, or interrupts don't exist now, and we had a question about. So we are just like that old man, except he is older than us.
He was older than us, so
I don't know if he's really that guy's dad or if that's like the joke on the show that he's that guy's dad. But I think there's an episode, there's like a video that he put out where he's like conversation with my dad, and I swear it's that same guy. So I think that might be the Italian Community College guy's dad.
Okay.
So definitely we're not the same age. He's an older old man.
Yeah. That means we should not take anything he has to say seriously.
Yeah. We'll be like, look at this crazy old man yelling at the clouds.
I'm just gonna throw out a card. I'm changing the subject now. I don't know if that's
I like this Jotun Outpost. So this is a good buy. I want 4 Jotun Outposts, even though you probably never can play 4 in a deck. That'd be kind of crazy because you got to sack planes every time.
You might play them in multiple decks, then you don't have to swap them around.
Exactly. If I'm going to make 100,000 decks, I need to buy 400,000 copies of each card.
Yeah.
But this is a good card. It shouldn't be cheap.
Well, I'm glad you think so. I'm glad that the way Lake of the Dead is, geez, I guess it's more abusable, but
it's more abusable, but I always liked all of these alliances lands.
Yes.
And the Lake of the Dead and the Jotun Outposts are the best. Yeah. And if you're picking these up in the teens, I don't think I think that's a good buy all day.
Yeah, it's reserve list. I've always liked my Balduvian Trading Post. I know it's not as good, but it's not terrible.
Not terrible. I like Hardy Yavamaya. That's probably my
Yeah, Hardy Yavamaya is good. Soul
more
Devi,
favorite. And that's really cheap. That's like $4 or something.
This
Anyway.
is a sidestep here off topic.
That was the Alex's non-Urza's block purchases for the week.
Non-Urza's block purchases this week, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot one. I forgot the biggest one.
Let's go to the biggest one. Before we move on.
Almost burn out. I've been wanting it for a long time, Steve. I
Now you
bought
got it.
Ice Storm.
Oh, this is cool.
Ice Storm.
This could be the title. We have the title of episode 3 is Alex buys a sinkhole or something. This is where we need to have the friggin' we need to have a friggin' thingamajig.
Yes,
Soundboard, yeah.
Now that I have an Ice Storm, I need the Hippodrome Wizard saying Ice Storm.
I need to figure out how to do that. It's on my list of to-dos. Okay. We're on Spotify and iTunes now. Now I got to move on to the soundboard.
You're doing a good job. Ice Storm.
Well, that's pretty cool. Alex got his Ice Storm.
It's expensive, and I've been waiting for it to drop. So I was like, I saw that again. MTG Seattle shout out. They had a lightly played one for like 55. So instead of going for the near mint for 64, I know their lightly played will be like a lightly played plus, and it'll have a real clean front, and it'll probably have just like some wear on the back, so it'll look nice in the sleeve. And I need more than one of these if I'm going to do anything with them, so I have to start maybe being a little less picky about getting perfect 3 or 4 of them. So I got a lightly played one. We'll see what it looks like.
Yeah, when it arrives, I'd be interested to know, because I'm buying near mint, but I've started thinking recently, especially for some of the more expensive things. Like I want some more dreadnoughts. I was looking at the dreadnought. There's a huge difference right now in the prices of the near mint versus lightly played dreadnoughts you can get on TCG Player. Like the near mints right now, they're really not below 100. They're like $100 or more. But there's lightly played ones for like 80.
Okay.
And I'm like, how
That's
bad are
these? That's a really good point you bring up, that different cards might have different gaps between lightly played and near mint. And I never really think about that.
I think it gets bigger the more expensive they get too. And it's probably bigger for the reserve. It's probably bigger. The gap is probably bigger for the expensive reserve list cards.
Yeah.
Because the people who are just targeting those just to collect them for financial reasons, they want the perfect cards. They want the near mint. So they're going to drive the prices of the near mint up higher. But the light play, if you just want to play it in a deck, and I really need to get more familiar with the grading of certain dealers, because like you said, you ordered this from MTG Seattle because you're expecting the light play to show up.
Yeah, I'm confident.
As a light play plus. Some people's light play honestly might be very similar to what I would consider near mint. Mm-hmm. So if you can pick up light play from them for cheaper.
And since this is a card, it's an uncommon, and it's a card that I want multiple of for play, so it's less of an investment thing and more of a, I don't, since it's an uncommon, it's probably less likely to be more expensive in the future, you know what I mean? Like appreciate a lot. So this is one of the few cards that I'm a little more comfortable maybe getting in a little bit more played condition.
Ice Storm. Berserk.
Go ahead. What?
Berserk is like my Ice Storm.
Oh, Berserk.
Berserk is the unlimited card that I want. That's not reserve list, but I've just wanted one since I was a kid, and I just want them. I just want them to play with them.
I had one back in the day. I got rid of it. I don't know why.
And then I want to put them in my pre-modern Green Stompy deck, even though Berserk isn't pre-modern. I want to run a pre-modern plus Berserk deck.
Is it not? It got reprinted, right?
I know, but it got reprinted after Scourge.
Yeah, new border. No. Fuck.
Yeah. Shame. It's a shame. It should be pre-modern. Well, that's a good pickup.
That was my guilty purchases of the week where an ice storm and some outposts and a whole bunch of cheap cards.
And maybe you can throw that chain of acid in a land destruction deck too, like that one guy mentioned on Gather. That's pretty good use of it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, the thing I was gonna say a minute ago before I went back to Ice Storm, and this is a out of left field topic, changing topics.
Segment
I'd like
3
to,
out of
it's
left
still,
field topic for the week.
We're still finance. We're
Sorry,
still
segment 4.
Same area.
Okay.
Jeweled Lotus.
Jeweled
Let's look
Lotus.
up Jeweled Lotus.
What the hell is this, Alex? What kind of border is this?
Card,
Is this...
It's from Commander Legends.
Oh my god.
Late 20.
Oh my god, this is so new.
It's basically a Black Lotus that you can
$100
on your commander.
0 casting cost. Artifact. Sacrifice Jeweled Lotus. Add 3 mana of any one color. Spend this mana only to cast your commander. Okay, so a Black Lotus for your commander.
Yeah, I like the flavor quote on it too. I've seen my share of baubles, Minister. Whatever ostentatious bit of glitter you have there won't convince me to. Oh my.
Oh my.
So the reason I brought up this card,
okay,
is because I know there's more than one card, obviously, that shares this quality, but this is a card that was printed after the pandemic spike. But it's an expensive card. So it's an expensive card that exists only in the post-spike era. And it has a flat price trajectory, basically. It's been like a $90 card.
Yeah, like for a year and a half.
I don't really know what I want to do with that information, but I just want to bring it up because I think it's an interesting data point here to like see a card that wasn't affected by that spike. You know what I mean? Maybe we can use this card as like a gauge against other cards at some point, like for price reference.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. This to me seems like a card that's going to depend price-wise entirely on the popularity of Commander.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So like it's expensive. The fact that it's expensive and the price has just been flat ever since it's been out probably just reflects the fact that Commander is super popular and
continues to be.
Yeah, and continues to be.
Yeah.
Can you remind me again how the commander works? So this says spend this mana only to cast your commander. I thought you started the game. You do start your game with the commander out already, right?
So there's a command zone where the commander goes.
Does this commander, do you not start the game with the commander in your command zone? You actually have to play it?
I can't remember if you start the game with him
Jeez, or we don't know anything
or not. I do remember though that if the commander gets killed, you have to recast them.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Is this only good for recasting your commander?
It might be, but I should have looked this up beforehand, Steve. No.
It's not like the Lotus that can get you ahead at the very beginning of the game, because yeah. This is the segment of the podcast where we really do act like old men and we try to figure out how the most popular format in current Magic the Gathering
works.
You
still have to cast the commander. Commanders begin in the command zone. While it's in the command zone, it may be cast.
Okay. My next question was going to be like, what if it's not in your hand, like in your opening hand, which you probably won't be if you're playing a 100-card commander deck. But it starts in your command zone, but you still have to cast it from the command zone.
Yes.
So this does give you...
So it helps on, if you have it in your 100-card deck early on, it can help you early on, or it can help you recast the commander.
Yeah. Okay. Okie dokie.
Yeah. I was mostly, like I said, mostly interested in the fact that, this came out after that big spike. And it's a card that is like, we can sort of like look at independently, like in its time period. Like you said, though, the downside of that is it's only commander relevant. So if the commander demand goes up or down, we'll have to factor that into like what this card does.
Yeah, that's kind of weird to think of. Like they printed a card as price relies, of course, the prices of different cards go up and down based on what format they're most popular in or most powerful in. And when those formats wax or wane, the price of that card will change. But this, I've never seen a card that's so totally linked to one particular format. You literally can't use it.
Right, yeah, it's worthless in any other format.
To play anything other than the Commander, which doesn't exist outside of Commander.
And I mean, we're seeing that a little bit here. I think they're leaning into the Commander popularity, and they're printing cards and even sets that are like, centered around that.
Yeah, that's true.
Or even off this card centered around it, but some of them just synergize with it, or work well with it. And that drives their price up. So I don't know. Interesting card maybe to think about or keep an eye on.
Jeweled Lotus. Still blows my mind that these modern cards can even be like above $50.
I know. I
never expected that.
I know. Like I would have just thought that their print runs would be so big, and
yeah.
I guess they figured things out though a little bit though. They realized they can't print stuff to death. They're trying to.
Yeah, I think that's what they do. They keep the print runs sensible. So this is never going to be $20,000.
No, not going to be the next.
But it still surprises me that it's $80, and I wouldn't have thought that. Would not have thought that.
But it's interesting.
Okay.
Well, what do you think? Do you think should we wrap it up? Maybe I could use some dinner.
Yeah, I think we'll wrap it up
next week.
We have lots of stuff to talk about. We probably have like 4 more podcasts worth of material in the queue, but that's good. It saves me on busy work weeks from having to come up with new topics. So I got 2 topics in the queue already.
Yeah, we can talk about angels more next week, and
next week we'll do some angels. I think we'll do some angels next week. Some pre-modern angels.
I have 1 or 2 to add to the conversation too for that, because I saw the ones you mentioned, but I have 1 or 2 to see. They're not as good maybe, but I'll see what you think if you like them.
Yeah, I meant to learn about all the angels. These are just angels I was going to put in the special deck that I was building.
All right.
Okay, so let's wrap it up for the week.
Wrap it up.
This is the part of the show where I say thank you for listening to the Old Man Magic podcast. I hope you enjoyed. You can find us on YouTube. If you find us there, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I also recently added our podcast to iTunes and Spotify, so you should be able to find us there in the near future. You could also follow us on Twitter at Old Man Magic. Do you have anything else to add, Alex?
Thanks for tuning in and listening to us bumble and fudge your way around the world of magic.
Okay. Talk to you next week.
All right. Take it easy, man.
I'll see you. Bye.